Third part. Chapter 41 Blood Sacrifice Fragments. Zero found this place. Not everyone can obtain a sacred object like the blood sacrifice fragments. Yes, even experienced players who have cleared 10 rounds of the game may not have a single blood sacrifice scroll. It will be enough for him to bear when he picks it up later. Chatting in the management group. Sometimes, what they talk about is a matter of life and death for Chenbei, the person involved. Chenbei realized that this blood sacrifice fragment was not trivial, so he tentatively walked over and picked it up. Obtain the blood sacrifice fragment *1. Get the thick scroll of the key. The prompt box is garbled. Chenbei was shocked. This thing is so evil that it can even affect the game system? He felt his hand being electrocuted, and the remaining blood sacrifice scroll came out of his hand and unfolded automatically. The entire blood sacrifice fragment is covered with blood-red words, which are crawling crazily, like a group of red maggots. Above the fragment, an eye opened, with a black background and red pupils, staring at Chenbei. Chenbei felt dizzy, and there were whispers in his ears. His eyes became colorful, with a large number of double images, and his soul seemed to be floating out, giving him a feeling of weightlessness. He actually understood the contents of the bloody sacrifice scroll. There is a magic spell called Body Devouring and Strengthening recorded in it. This kind of evil technique is to devour and transform a living target, absorb it into oneself, and strengthen all parts of the body. With repeated strengthening, you can even escape from the ordinary world and become a more mysterious and advanced existence. That's not right. Shouldn't this fragment record a method of making zombies? Why did it become something else? Chenbei's sanity value jumped wildly, sometimes even turning into a negative number. I can't watch any more. Chenbei rushed over, covered the remains of the blood sacrifice, and stuffed it directly into his dimensional backpack. Huh. Chenbei broke out in a cold sweat and soaked his clothes. Those few seconds almost drove him into madness. After putting away the remaining blood sacrifice scrolls, the surroundings returned to normal. This thing is too sinister. You can't look at it more. Chenbei felt lingering fear. He glanced at the management group and got a piece of information, or an answer. It turns out that different people will see different contents when reading the blood sacrifice fragments. Ever-changing and incredible. What he saw from the previous Luo Kong was how to create zombies. What Chenbei saw was body phagocytosis to strengthen the body. Obtain the evil magic body to strengthen your body and cast evil magic. You must pay a corresponding price, please think twice. Chenbei received a reminder. There is an additional record of magic in the archives. Absorb a person, transfer it to yourself, and strengthen yourself. This kind of evil magic is too extreme and too risky. Chenbei will definitely not use it for the time being. As for the future, it's hard to say. He continued to search in the room, and then found a record file, which wrote about the mental journey of a man named Luo Kong. It looked strange and perverted, and felt that it was of little significance. Later, I found a door card on the radio station. Now, I can finally leave. When the time is over, you can still leave. Opening the door and leaving is another way to clear the level. How long until it ends? Not much, only more than 3 minutes. He shouldn't be standing here stupidly forever, right? If you cannot open the door with your own hands, you will not be able to trigger the special clearance conditions. Hurry up and open the door. It makes me anxious. The conversation in the management group reminded Chenbei. Hurry up. Chenbei started to move, quickly left the room, and then turned into running. -2nd floor. -1 floor. Layer. Front entrance. Chenbei rushed to the door and used the door card to slide the electronic lock hard. Drop. There was an electronic sound, the light turned green, and the heavy iron door slowly opened. Outside the door is not a free world, but a foggy chaos. Chenbei looked outside, his mood was complicated and difficult to explain. You clear this round of the game in a special way and get 5 game coins as a reward. Based on your excellent performance in this round of the game, you will be specially rewarded with a King of Novices badge. This round of Horror Night game is over. 100 players participated, 24 survived. In the remaining time, you can choose to continue exploring the game scene, or leave through the exit. Countdown: 1 minute and 46 seconds, 1 minute and 45 seconds, 1 minute and 44 seconds. For more than a minute, nothing could be done. Just as Chen Bei was about to step out, he thought of another thing. 0 degree, little fatty bai, if you come to the gate on the first floor now, I can give you a level 4 weapon. This is a cake that Chen Bei has painted before. In some respects, he is principled. Either he won't say it, but he will do what he says. The other party didn't reply. There are less than 10 seconds left in the countdown. A fat and white figure rushed down the stairs and arrived in front of Chen Bei. "Boss, I'm coming." Bai Xiaopang rushed over. Chen Bei smiled, this guy really came running. Level 4 weapons are of little significance to Chen Bei now and are dispensable. He took out the level 4 crocodile scissors and handed them to the other party. "Here you go, fulfill my previous promise," Chen Bei said. "Thank you, boss. I will hang out with you in the next round of the game, but you have to protect me. If I return to the real world in the future, I will definitely give you money, give it to you." Bai Xiaopang's words stopped abruptly in the middle of his words. A burst of white light bloomed, filling the entire world. The game is over, and the personnel and dormitories are being safely transferred. The overall score of this round of the game is A level. As a trainee administrator, you will receive 85 management points. Please continue to work hard and strive for an early promotion. You have been removed from the Novice Game Management Group number 77. Welcome to Junior Dormitory Building number 9. The house number was reassigned and a new house number 606 was obtained. Get a copy of the Dormitory Living Manual, which can be viewed in the File function. Please enjoy your vacation time. The dormitory is absolutely safe. The remaining time until the next game starts is 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 56 seconds. Entered the dormitory group chat. Chen Bei appeared in his dormitory. There is a series of prompts in front of you. He took a few breaths and adjusted to his current situation. What's going on? Chen Bei was still a little confused for a while. He sat on the bed, opened the file, and called up the residence manual. There is a more detailed introduction inside, explaining the situation of the dormitory building. It turns out that after the game is over, there will be a short vacation that needs to be spent in the dormitory building. The dormitory building is closed and you can't go out at all, you can only move around inside the building. Players are protected by rules here and are absolutely safe. Players are not allowed to harm each other. Any violation will be punished, and serious players will be wiped out. The dormitory itself is also within the protection range, and players cannot attack other people's dormitories. If you want to enter someone else's dormitory, you need to get the owner's approval, otherwise you won't be able to enter at all. As for behaviors such as stealing and robbing, they are also prohibited. To put it bluntly, the dormitory building is equivalent to a safe zone. No matter how dangerous the game is, once you get here, you can feel completely at ease. There are many things you can do in the dormitory building, not just rest. Once the holiday is over, it will be forced to enter the next round of the game, and the cycle starts again. This is probably the case. The first round of the novice game is so dangerous, and the clearance rate is only about a quarter. When will it be the end? Do we have to keep playing until we die? Chen Bei was a little crazy. He really wanted to pull out those administrators and beat them up. But he has been removed from the management group, and he doesn't know if he can get in next time. If he cannot enter the management group, then he is just an ordinary player and is ignored by everyone. Boom! 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 There was a sudden knock on the door outside, interrupting Chen Bei's thoughts. Chapter 42 Dormitory Building. The manual clearly states that it is absolutely safe here. So nothing to worry about. Chen Bei walked to the door and looked outside with the door mirror. The person knocking on the door was a white-haired girl. She was very beautiful, pure and dewy, and her skin was whiter than snow. She had an anxious expression on her face. The girl was wearing a lantern-sleeved shirt and tight jeans. There was blood on her body and she was holding a serrated knife in her hand. Apparently, this is a player who has just returned from completing the game. As for whether she was in the same round of the game as Chen Bei, it was hard to say because Chen Bei had never met her. Chen Bei boldly opened the door. The two sides met each other. The white-haired girl was stunned for a moment, tears burst into her eyes, and she murmured, "Why is it you? Where is my boyfriend? Where has he gone? This is obviously his dormitory." The white-haired girl lost control of her emotions and grabbed Chen Bei's clothes. Her behavior was immediately deflected by an invisible force. In the dormitory building, there are indeed rules and regulations. Not to mention hurting each other, even if we make big moves. Why? The white-haired girl ran away crying. She must have understood what this meant. On the contrary, Chen Bei was confused and watched the girl run away. He guessed. The boyfriend of the white-haired girl must have died in the game, and then the house number and dormitory location were replaced by him. It's inexplicable, it's none of my business. Chen Bei quickly put this little incident behind him. He looked back and forth. The dormitory corridor was very long, with dormitories on both sides. Many people have already walked out. Someone was shouting and excited. I survived the third round of the game. I want to have S*X. Who wants to have S*X with me? It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. Damn, it was so dangerous, I almost died in this round. Where is this place? The corridor was getting busier and busier. It seems that not only newcomers who have cleared the first round of the game will come here, but also those who have cleared multiple rounds of the game. Hey, little brother, you must be new here, right? Do you want to chat? I am an old player and can sell you some good things at a low price. A man's voice sounded. Chen Bei turned around and looked over. He saw that the other person was a middle-aged man with worrying hair and a sneer on his face. The middle-aged man came over, stretched out his hand, and triggered the friend request at the same time. The name of the opponent's game is Chengnan Flowers Bloom. Chen Bei shook hands with the other party and tentatively accepted the friend application. Come to my room to talk, and I'll treat you to something to eat. Chengnan Huakai greeted warmly. No, if you have anything to say, just say it here. Chen Bei refused. That's okay. After all, we just met and we are not familiar with each other yet. Once we get to know each other for a long time, you will know that I am a person who makes friends. How many rounds of the game have you completed? 3 rounds. Are there any old players here who have cleared 8, 9, or more rounds? No, that's impossible, because this is a junior dormitory building. You can only clear it 5 times at most. After the 6th time, you will be transported to a higher level dormitory. It is said that the environment there is better. I see. Chen Bei vaguely felt that the other party was unreliable, but he didn't mind asking for some useful information. The more proactive and enthusiastic the other party is, the more suspicious they appear. After all, as the old saying goes, when a weasel pays New Year greetings to a rooster, it's not a good idea. Little brother, I have a deal here that you must be interested in. If you clear the level normally, you will be given at least 1 game currency. You only need to use 1 game currency to exchange for a full 100 formulas from me. 100. The flowers blooming in the south of the city are beaming with joy. 100. Chen Bei was stunned. That's right. My brother didn't lie to you. I guarantee it is true and effective. I can give you a few formulas for free first and let you try the water. Then you can do transactions with me. There is a trading hall downstairs. Transactions there are protected, so you can rest assured. 100 recipes. Chen Bei pondered. He is not comparable to those ordinary novice players. This time, he accumulated a full 10 game coins by clearing the level. Using one of them in exchange for 100 formulas seems to be a good deal. At this moment, a woman's voice sounded, with a hint of teasing in her voice. You be ***ch, you're here to lie to new people again, right? I know you can't change your dog's habit of eating shit. Handsome guy, don't listen to his nonsense. The most valuable thing in the game is the recipe, because the recipe can be shared infinitely. If you want the recipe, I can give you 100 for free. While talking, the woman came over. She is nearly 30 years old, wearing a black leather jacket and black leather skirt. She has a plump figure that is almost like a European and American pony. She is also very good looking, and she is a typical hot girl. She twisted and twisted when she walked, and her coquettishness was really engraved in her bones. Chengnan Huakai was so angry that she jumped on her feet and said, ****ch, what does it have to do with you that I'm chatting with my little brother here? Go away and make a fuss. What? I stepped on your tail? As long as I'm here, you can't even think of lying to others. Who did I lie to? One is willing to buy, the other is willing to sell, fair trade, no deception. Don't do this. If you want to exchange a bunch of broken blueprints for precious game coins, there's no way. You. What are you? Just wait. If we are assigned to the same game in the future, let's see how I deal with you. Who is afraid of whom? My aunt is not a vegetarian. The two of them were making a lot of noise and were blushing, as if they had had a holiday before. When Chengnan Huakai saw that the matter was in trouble, she cursed and walked away. The woman who stayed behind looked Chen Bei up and down, and said with a smile, he is quite handsome, but he is too dirty to look at. Come on, my sister will take you to take a shower. Don't worry, it's absolutely free. It's a public bathroom in the dormitory building. Chen Bei knew that this woman was not necessarily a good bird, but he still went with her. He really needed a good wash. When we came to the bathroom in the dormitory building, it looked no different from a normal bathroom. Go in and relax. When you come out, we'll find a place to chat. I'm different from that ********D just now. I won't fool you with junk stuff. The two of them had already become friends on the road just now. This woman's game is called Hot Girl. Wow. The water from the nozzle hit Chen Bei's body, washing away layers of dirty blood. Blood, foam, running water, all swirled together into the floor drain. Looking at this scene, Chen Bei felt a strong sense of separation, and even doubted whether his previous experience was true. In fact, from the beginning to the end of the new game, only 6 hours have passed. Just 6 hours is already a completely different life. When Chen Bei came out clean, wearing a bathrobe, the dirty clothes were temporarily stuffed into the dimensional backpack. The hot girl was still standing outside the bathroom door. When she saw Chen Bei coming out, she blew a rogue whistle. After I washed it, I watched too much of it, which made my sister feel itchy. There are even bathrooms, so there should be public washing machines or laundry rooms, right? Chen Bei asked. Yes. Come with me. I will be your guide today and take you around the dormitory building. Then why are you so embarrassed? There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm just thinking about your game coins. If you think my sister is interested in you enough, just give me a game coin later. Game currency. It's game currency again. These old players, one on the left and one on the right, are all here for the game currency. Chen Bei has deeply realized that his 10 game coins are of extraordinary value. Chapter 43 Gasapon Machine. The washing machine is spinning. There are many players who come here to wash clothes. Chen Bei occupied one of them, and the hot girl was also nearby. According to Lemizi, she has only cleared 2 rounds of the game, only one more than Chen Bei. It's only been 1 round, but you know a lot more than me. Chen Bei said. It's word of mouth. I also heard what other old players said. If you play 1 more round of the game, you will become an old player. Hot girl smiled. That's true. How many people are left in this new game of yours? 24 people. It was similar to my novice round. We had 30 people left, mainly because the bear at the end was too scary. Bear? Chen Bei was stunned. Where did the bear come from? Looking at your reaction, your newbie game is definitely not the bloody escape game. Don't be surprised, the newbie game is not fixed, there are so many types of games. Hot girl explained. There are only so many tricks in the new game? Isn't it? There are so many tricks. Even in the same game, there will be big differences. So don't be too superstitious about the experience of old players. Each round of the game is a new design, and you still have to rely on yourself to pass the level. I understand. The theme of the game will be repeated, but it will be changed each time. That's what it means. The hot girl snapped her fingers. Then what can we do to clear the level permanently? I mean, completely leave the dormitory survival game, return to reality, and live a normal life. Chen Bei asked the question he was most concerned about. I don't know about this. Don't forget, this is a junior dormitory. Maybe you have to go to a higher level dormitory and meet older senior players to get the answer. Or you may never get out until killed by the game. The hot girl sneered, somewhat self-deprecatingly. Games are meant to be played. The question is, who plays whom? Players like them risk their lives and go through life and death, but they are more like objects to be played with. There was a ding sound and the washing machine stopped. Chen Bei opened the lid, took out his clothes, and found that they were all dry. 6. It's an all-in-one washing and drying machine, it's so fast. Chen Bei said with a smile. The environmental facilities in the dormitory are not bad. The technology of some things is obviously beyond the scope of reality, so don't worry about it. Hot girl said. Give me a moment and I'll go change back into my original clothes. It's still indecent to wander around in a bathrobe. Who said it's indecent? I think it's pretty good. I get excited when I think about the vacuum inside your bathrobe. After a while, Chen Bei changed back into his heavy windbreaker and went out again. The hot girl is waiting outside the door. Let's take you to a fun place. The hot girl was very proactive and directly took Chen Bei's hand, as if the two had known each other for a long time. Chen Bei is not at a disadvantage, so there is nothing to be embarrassed about. The two of them walked halfway. There were 2 players in front of them who were swearing, arguing, and threatening to fight to the death. There were also many people joining in the fun. Chen Bei frowned and said, "Didn't it say that fighting is prohibited in the dormitory building? There is a ring in the building. You can fight in the ring, and you can even kill people. If you kill the opponent, you can get the opponent's experience points and drops. Some people are not enough to fight hard in the game, they have to fight here. Kill. Ignore those lunatics." Hot girl explained. Chen Bei nodded. It seemed that there were many doorways in this dormitory building, and it was not just used for rest and accommodation. Then the hot girl took him to a mall hall. There were many people in the hall and various machines were placed everywhere. Some machines looked like gas-upon machines and some looked like vending machines. There are many people coming here to play, and they are noisy. Some people are yelling and cursing, while others are cheering. When we got here, the hot girl was obviously more excited. This is a great place. It's a paradise for game consumption. No matter how much game currency you have, it won't be enough. Game currency is the only hard currency here, and you will soon know its value. The hot girl pulled Chen Bei and ran all the way to an empty machine. The appearance of the machine is clearly that of a gas-upon machine, with a coin slot and a knob that displays 1 coin at a time. This machine is used to draw prizes. 1 game coin is drawn once. You can draw all kinds of random things. If you are lucky, you will directly draw magical weapons and high-end equipment. If you are unlucky, you may only be given a roll of toilet paper. The hot girl slapped the machine hard. Chen Bei personally stepped forward to operate it, and clicked on the introduction function that came with the machine. It also came with a list of prizes, which were indeed diverse and of many types. There are big prizes with extremely low chances inside, and only those with a good koi physique can win them. Now that I've encountered something like this, I won't be able to sleep tonight if I don't give it a try. Chen Bei took out a game coin and said calmly, "I want to try my luck." I hope I won't win a roll of toilet paper. Okay. Just smoke it. Game coins are meant to be spent, don't hoard them. Hot girl supported the decision. Why don't you hoard it? Because there are life hoards, there may not be life flowers. Are you sure you can survive the next round of the game? Understood. Chen Bei nodded, that is indeed the case. To put it bluntly, buy early and enjoy early. He put the game coins in, the display changed numbers, and then twisted the knob. The machine vibrates and makes music, and you can see a lot of gashapon rolling inside. A gashapon fell down and landed at the entrance of the warehouse, showing that the owner was 0 degree and prohibiting others from snatching it. Chen Bei took out the gashapon and split it into two. The shells on both sides disappeared automatically, and a note appeared. It says, "The reward is a random single-player game, and the difficulty will be generated according to the player's own level." Chen Bei was stunned. The hot girl on the side also widened her eyes. The two said in unison. Relevant prompts popped up, and only Chen Bei could see them. I've been given an opportunity to join a single-player game. Do you want to accept it? Refusing to accept shall be regarded as giving up this opportunity. Choose to accept and you will immediately enter the single-player game and start to pass the level. Please make your decision within the time limit. Countdown, 1 minute. Chen Bei was speechless. I'm really in debt. Why do you smoke this when you have nothing to do? Okay, now, a single-player game pops up. Should I go or not? Go ahead. Then we will definitely face a life and death crisis again. Don't go. This one game coin is wasted. Chen Bei hasn't even taken a good rest in the dormitory building, although he is not very tired now. After teleporting to the dormitory building, the health points and sanity are all restored, allowing the player to return to a prime state. 0. Do you want to participate in this single-player game? You are new here. If you are not sure, give up. In multiplayer games, you can help each other. In single-player games, you can only rely on yourself. Hot Girl Z advised. I decided to go. Chen Bei struggled for a while, but finally gave up. There aren't many reasons, it's just that I don't want to waste this game currency. He was afraid that he would regret it, so he clicked confirm directly. Accepting single-player games, randomly generated. Generation completed, the game you are about to enter is Eternal Tree. This round of game requires players and dormitories to participate together. Preparations completed, transmission begins. Chen Bei was once again flooded by white light. Chapter 44 Single Version. You have entered the Eternal Tree game scene. The dormitories were randomly placed in suitable locations. There is no house number in this round of game. The game lasts for 3 days and does not end until the dawn of the 4th day. The time period for first entering the game is night. Wish you a happy game. You have been pulled into the single-player game Everlasting Tree Management Group and obtained the status of Trainee Administrator, codenamed Toilet. Goddamn toilet. Chen Bei complained. It is equivalent to having two systems. One is the player system and the other is the administrator system. It seems that every time he enters the game in the future, he will be pulled into the management group. This time he is the only player, so there is no player group, he only needs to keep an eye on the management group. Go into the group chat and take a look. There were fewer people than last time. There is only one level 2 administrator, 2 level 3 managers, and 5 interns, including Chen Bei. Everyone's code name is related to the bathroom. That level 2 administrator is codenamed Faucet. The 2 level 3 administrators are called Towels and Mirrors respectively. There is no need to elaborate on the rest, since interns are all muted anyway. It seems that the administrator code will be changed every round of the game. Forget it, it's not a permanent name, just a toilet. Chen Bei accepted the reality. Now the entire dormitory is dark, there is no light source at all, and rustling can be heard outside the dormitory. Chen Bei walked to the wall and pressed the light switch. There was no response and a prompt was triggered. The power supply situation of each game is different. Some game scenes will have normal water supply and power supply, while others will not and require the players' dormitories to generate their own electricity. When the dormitory is upgraded to level 3, the battery compartment can be unlocked and the battery can be installed to power the dormitory. This is the most basic power supply method. This game has no battery, it's so stingy. Chen Bei had no choice but to take out a flashlight and illuminate it, dispelling the darkness in the room. Just mentioned that the power supply can be unlocked and the dormitory is upgraded to level 3. I happen to have obtained the level 3 dormitory recipe before, but I didn't have enough materials at the time, so I put it on hold. There are enough materials now, just right for upgrading. Chen Bei stretched out his hand, triggered the dormitory upgrade function, and put in various materials. He had to work alone during the upgrade process. He was the carpenter, bricklayer, electrician, etc., and his 2 hands were not enough. A progress bar appeared and it slowly reached the end, which took a lot of time. The dormitory was upgraded successfully. Newly added facilities: door light, battery compartment, shoe rack, weapon rack, wardrobe. House number: none. Level 3. Area: 25 square meters. Door durability: 65 of 65. Wall durability: 200 out of 200. Facilities: door, single bed, bedside table, protective window, ceiling light, door light, battery compartment, shoe rack, weapon rack, wardrobe. The dormitory has been upgraded. The entire dormitory has changed, the area has increased, and new items have appeared. There is a shoe rack at the door, a weapon rack and a wardrobe on the wall. All kinds of miscellaneous things can be classified and placed, which is good for obsessive-compulsive disorder. There is also an extra battery compartment on the wall. When I got closer, I was reminded that some equipment required power supply to be used, such as ceiling lights and door lights. Chen Bei happened to have a battery in his hand, so he took out one section and stuffed it into the battery compartment. The amount of electricity that was originally empty has increased a bit. You can turn on the lights. Chen Bei pressed the light switch, and the lights above his head turned on. He turned off the flashlight and walked around the enlarged dormitory. The upgraded dormitory was a little more spacious, but it still felt like a dwelling. It must be raining outside, there is a rustling sound. Chen Bei leaned on the iron window and looked out. It was pitch black outside, the kind of darkness that made it difficult to see even one's fingertips. There were raindrops hitting the window glass and flowing down. Boom! 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 Suddenly there was a knock on the door, which startled Chen Bei. He suddenly turned his head and looked towards the door. Boom! 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 The knock on the door sounded again, urgently. Chen Bei's heart skipped a beat. Who's knocking? He wasn't sure whether he should open the door or not. The knocking on the door continued, getting more and more urgent. Chen Bei was unsure, so he habitually peeked into the management group to see what was said inside. The result was a huge disappointment. This time the management group has a small number of people and low enthusiasm. Only the level 2 administrator said some superficial words, which were meaningless. Can't count on these guys anymore. Chen Bei had no choice but to make his own judgment and raised his voice and shouted. Who's knocking? The knocking on the door stopped suddenly. Then there was a hoarse voice, as if sandpaper was being used to polish rusty metal. It's raining heavily outside. I want to stay here for one night. Please open the door and let me in. Chen Bei walked to the door and looked out through the door mirror. Nothing can be seen outside. By the way, after the upgrade, there is an extra door light. Chen Bei remembered this and pressed the door light button. The light outside the door was on, but the brightness of the light was very low. Now you can see clearly what's going on outside. Chen Bei took a deep breath, leaned against the door and looked outside. Under the light, stood a ragged man with a hood on his head, the brim of the hat hanging down, covering most of his face. The man was thin and had no shoes on his feet. His exposed hands had rugged bones and long black nails. Who would let such a suspicious guy in? The rain was still falling, and it kept pouring on the people outside the door. The water formed a line and flowed down the hair and clothes. Sorry, it's a private residence. We refuse to stay overnight. Please find another place to take shelter from the rain. Chen Bei refused. The person outside the door did not leave, but said gloomily, "You are looking at me, right? Then take a good look and see what this is." After saying that, the person outside the door reached out and lifted up his clothes, revealing his skinny body. On his belly, there is a second human face. This face is wrinkled, the facial features are in random positions, the eyes are crooked, the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears are all present, and there is also a small amount of extra hair. The eyes were closed at first, then slowly opened, and the mouth was raised. This face is smiling. Hee hee. Grrrr. The same body, the upper and lower faces are smiling. Those who laugh are frightened. Chen Bei's reason was hurt, and he instinctively wanted to retreat, but he couldn't leave. He had to see clearly what the guy outside the door was going to do. The person outside the door laughed strangely for a while, then turned around and left. The back figure disappeared in the rain. That's it? Chen Bei didn't expect the other party to leave so easily. I thought there would be a forced battle or something. The one who saw him off went to his grandson, and another grandson came. Not long after that, another guy knocked on the door. Chen Bei turned on the light and saw that the guy outside the door was very similar to the one before. He was also in rags and skinny. Gun, you won't be allowed to stay overnight. Chen Bei was quite polite before, but now he is scolding him directly. The second tenant pulled up his sleeves. On his arm, there is also a human face. Then the third, fourth, fifth. They took turns knocking on the door and staying overnight. Everyone has a second face, and the position of the face is different. Some grow on the neck, some grow on the chest, and some grow on the legs. It feels awkward to have one more of these things on a person, let alone one more face. Chen Bei was a little disturbed by these weird tenants. He wanted to open the door and have a big fight, and K both of their faces. In a harmonious society, he is a good law-abiding citizen. But in this game, his violent factor has been awakened, and he is still somewhat angry. Boom. 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 The knock on the door sounded again. Again? Chen Bei took out the evil-killing knife and angrily walked to the door to check. At this sight, he was stunned. The person standing outside the door is a normal person. At least like a normal person. Chapter 45 NPC. The new man outside the door is a man wearing a yellow jacket, glasses, some stubble, a backpack behind him, and a flashlight in his hand. Boom, boom, boom. The man knocked on the door again and then said, "Is there anyone in the house? I see the lights are on." This time, Chen Bei did not refuse in a hurry. The other party looks different from those two-faced weirdos just now. Mirror, it's time to reach a plot point. Towel, yeah. The person outside the door is the key person, and whether or not the door is opened will have consequences. Mirror, I remember that if you open the door, it is more likely to lead to a good ending. Towel, that's right. Chen Bei caught a glimpse of the conversation and realized the importance of the person outside the door. Since this is a game, then, the person outside the door belongs to the NPC, not the enemy. Chen Bei returned the sword to its sheath and put away the weapon. Crunch. Chen Bei unscrewed the door lock and opened the door. The two people met each other inside and outside the door. Hello, my name is Yan Hongren, my name is Yan Zi, and I am a reporter. The other person stretched out a hand and announced his or her name. My name is 0 Degree. Chen Bei shook hands with Yan Hongren. It was a normal human hand with warmth. The other person not only has warmth, he is a living human being. I don't know where this NPC in the game came from. Are normal humans brought in to play NPCs? Or cloning? 3D printing? Robot? Chen Bei murmured in his heart, invited the other party into the house, and then locked Feng Yu outside. After Yan Hongren entered the house, he found that there was no place to sit in the house, which made him feel a little embarrassed. Chen Bei smashed the chairs he encountered before and used them in exchange for materials, leaving none behind. It seems that I need to buy some furniture or something in the future, and I have to have everything I need. Well, just sit here for now. The room is a mess, so you can make do with it. Chen Bei opened the bed, revealing the hard bedboard, which could accommodate people for the time being. Yan Hongren thanked him and sat down. After a moment of stiff silence, Chen Bei took the initiative to break the deadlock and said, "You said you were a reporter? Then why are you here?" "The reason why I came here is a bit strange. If I tell you, you probably won't believe it." Yan Hongren said hesitantly. "It's okay, just say it. My reason for coming here must be stranger than yours." "Then, okay. It's just sitting down anyway, let's just talk." Yan Hongren opened the chatterbox and spoke leisurely. He came here because he had often dreamed of this area since he was a child. This kind of dream has troubled him for many years. In a dream, he saw lifeless woods. In the deepest part there is a ferocious and strange towering old tree, with leaves that grow like dry palms and a human face-shaped burr on the trunk. There was a group of weirdos dancing around the ancient tree. What's even more terrifying is that the weirdos will capture living people, kill them under the tree, and then sacrifice them to the ancient tree. The ancient tree will eat the corpse and then grow bloody fruits from the tree. Those weirdos rushed to eat the fruit, showing crazy smiles. Before, Yan Hongren didn't know what the dream scene represented. Until recently, he saw a series of reports on disappearances, some of which were exactly the same as those in his dreams. So he asked for leave and came here to investigate. Until night came and the cold rain poured down on me, I accidentally found this safe haven. After listening to the story, Chen Bei felt as if the fog had been lifted, and he had a clearer understanding of this single-player game. Obviously, the problem lies in that ancient tree. After getting rid of the ancient tree, you should be able to clear the level. The significance of Yan Hongren should not be enough to explain the plot. It may be of greater help and needs to be taken advantage of. That's right, its use. There is no need to treat Yan Hongren as a real human being, no matter how human-like he looks on the outside. When you spoke, your eyes were firm and your attitude was sincere, so I believe what you said. After daybreak, I will accompany you to explore the woods and try to figure out the secrets hidden in the woods. Maybe you won't dream about it again in the future. Here it is. Chen Bei said. Thank you for believing in me. To be honest, I felt very uncomfortable as soon as I entered this forest. It would be great if you would help me. Yan Hongren smiled. Some weirdos came knocking on the door before. Didn't you meet them? I did see some figures in the woods. I thought I was dazzled. They ran very fast. I was even not sure if they were people. It's okay, I'm here. Whether it's a human or a ghost, there's always a way. Let's recharge our batteries tonight and go out tomorrow. Good. The two of them discussed it and waited until dawn. I'm not sure exactly how long I waited, but it was probably only 20 minutes. It started to get bright outside and the rain stopped. Chen Bei discovered something. In the novice game, there are hints and the like every day. In this round of the game, there are only prompts at the beginning, but not after that. At best, it increases immersion in the game. In fact, it just ignores the players. Everything that needs to be taught has already been taught in the novice game, and the subsequent formal games will all depend on the players themselves. Chen Bei took the key, got ready, and asked Yan Hongren to go out together. When I looked outside, I saw that there were lifeless trees all around, with no green at all. The rain last night made the ground very wet, turning some places into mud puddles. The clouds and mist in the forest were so heavy that the sun could not be seen at all. Visibility is quite low. Chen Bei locked the door and set off. He is now wearing a heavy windbreaker, a wooden box helmet, corpse skin gloves on his hands, and a King of Novices badge on his chest. This was given when clearing the level before. The effect is to increase the item explosion rate by 2% and increase each attribute by 1 point. You can only wear one badge, which is a relatively rare piece of equipment. Brush. Chen Bei also pulled out the evil killing knife, which shocked Yan Hongren. You still go out with such a big knife? Yan Hongren panicked. I think this forest is not safe. It is safer to bring a knife. I have other weapons in my bag. Do you want to give me one? Chen Bei said. No, I have never had a fight since I was a child. Others bullied me. But you are not a child now. Come on, take it. Chen Bei took out his previously abandoned spring iron fist and handed it to the other party. Yan Hongren took this strange weapon and kept it for now. The two of them didn't have any goals, so they just walked around casually. After walking for a while, Chen Bei opened the system map to check and found that the map was blacked out. It shows, this round of game map function cannot be used. Chen Bei wants to give him the middle finger. Reminiscent of Yan Hongren's words about getting lost in the woods, it seems that it is easy to get lost in this round of the game, and this was deliberately arranged. Chen Bei had no choice but to chop a few times on the tree with his knife, leaving a wound as a mark. You live here, how can you still get lost? Yan Hongren wondered. To be honest, I just moved here and I don't know much about this place as you do. Let's leave a mark as we go so we're prepared, Chen Bei said. Okay. Hope this helps. In this way, the two of them drifted apart. Wait until the two figures disappear into the mist. The tree that I just slashed with the knife actually moved slowly along the ground and changed its position. Chapter 46. Please enter the urn. In the lifeless woods, the two of them groped forward. Yan Hongren took out a compass on the way, but the needle moved everywhere and was of no use at all. Chen Bei looked back and saw that the branches were covered with fog, and there was no trace of the dormitory behind him. I've walked a long way, but haven't found much yet. 0 degree, why do you live in such a ghost place? Yan Hongren asked as he walked. For fun. Chen Bei told the truth in a sense. It's no fun here. As he was talking, Yan Hongren stepped on something under his feet, stopped, and then pulled something out of the mud. It was a skull. It felt like it had been aged for some time. The bones were brittle and a piece of it was broken into pieces by Yan Hongren. Neither Yan Hongren nor Chen Bei yelled. In such a ghost place, it is completely normal for skulls to appear. Chen Bei took the skull, played with it, and hung it on a branch nearby. Look, the Christmas tree. Chen Bei joked. This cold joke is a bit ridiculous. Yan Hongren smiled bitterly. The two continued on the road, walked for a while, and made new discoveries. There were fresh scars on a tree opposite. This is obviously a mark left by Chen Bei when he passed by before. The problem is that the two of them have been walking in a straight line, and the marks they made on the road have moved ahead. The two of them looked at each other and had a premonition that something was not good. Chen Bei looked at the mark on the tree and confirmed that he cut it himself, and the mark was in the shape of an arrow. Be prepared to get lost. Chen Bei said. Yeah. Yan Hongren frowned. Continuing to walk forward, we soon encountered another marked tree. Even stranger. Both trees encountered this time were marked. The two trees are next to each other, with the marked arrows facing each other. Chen Bei clearly remembered that when he made marks, he always kept a certain distance and would not be so close. This means the tree is moving. Chen Bei's voice was stern. No wonder I got lost in the woods yesterday. There is indeed something strange here. Yan Hongren said in a deep voice. It rained last night and the trees were too wet, otherwise I would have really wanted to set off a forest fire and burn them all down. Let's think about something practical. What should we do next? Chen Bei looked around, and his eyes were quickly drawn in one direction. Something is very wrong over there. The trees actually lined up in 2 rows, forming a neat road that extended into the mist. In a forest similar to a ghost wall, an obvious road appeared, as if inviting the two of them to go there. Chen Bei didn't even need to see the management group to know that he had to go there. If you don't enter the tiger's den, how can you tell whether it's a male or a female? Go that way. Chen Bei took the lead and walked over, holding the weapon in his hand a little tighter. Yan Hongren followed closely and realized something was wrong here. The two of them walked further and further apart. Yan Hongren looked back and exclaimed, "The way we came is gone." Chen Bei turned back. Indeed, the trees moved and blocked the road. But it's not completely blocked. People can still pass between trees. The two continued to move forward, obviously feeling that the road was getting narrower. The trees next to them seemed to be moving slowly, consciously compressing the space for the two of them to move. As for what's behind, it's even more of a walk. In the end, there was only a narrow passage left on the road. The two passed through and the front became open again. In a large circular open space, there is a mountain of bones piled up. Various bones were piled together, including human bones, animal bones, protruding antlers, and fangs of beasts. There are so many, thousands. This shocking scene shocked the two people's vision. Chen Bei is not a coward, but his sanity is still beating violently. I've seen this scene in my dream. Yan Hongren was excited and hurried forward to take a close look at the white bone mountain. This bone mountain is much higher than him, so he needs to look up. Yes, it's a scene from a dream. After the ancient tree eats a person, the remaining bones will be piled here. Yan Hongren murmured. Some kind of power led us here just to show us this. I don't know if there is any other purpose. Chen Bei said in a deep voice. At this time, Chen Bei noticed that the second-level administrator in the group said something. Tap, the attack can begin. Attack? Chen Bei suddenly felt something bad and immediately stepped forward and pulled Yan Hongren over. Whoosh! A powerful sound broke through the air and roared. Yan Hongren just escaped. Looking at a nearby tree trunk, there is an extra arrow, and the arrow blade behind it is still shaking. Sneak attack. Don't talk about martial ethics. Chen Bei glanced around coldly and saw a figure on the tree not far away. The opponent was dressed in rags, skinny as a stick, holding a set of ancient bows and arrows, and was setting up the next arrow. There are other figures moving around, so there must be more than one enemy. And they were all those two-faced weirdos who showed up at the door last night. Take this and protect yourself. Chen Bei took out a large wooden shield and handed it to Yan Hongren, then freed his hand and took out a fully loaded pistol. I wanted to deal with you last night. Chen Bei quickly rushed towards the enemy in the tree, closing the distance. With his accuracy, it was really impossible to stay far away. This kind of self-knowledge is still needed. Whoosh! The two-faced monster on the tree shot an arrow and nailed it at Chen Bei's feet, but missed. The distance between the two sides further shortened. Chen Bei knelt down on one knee, raised his gun and took aim, his breathing stopped. Arm, crosshair, enemy. 3 points and 1 line. Bang! The enemy fell down. The two-faced monster who landed on the ground was not dead and struggled to stand up. Chen Bei stepped forward and shot the two-faced monster in the head. It goes in from the front and comes out from the back, a bloody hole the size of an egg. I thought this would be enough, after all, zombies can be killed with a headshot. But the two-faced monster stood up again. You're not going to die. Chen Bei was shocked. The two-faced monster stood up, his head drooped, and he pulled open his clothes with his other hand, revealing a human face on his shoulder. The wrinkled face, distorted facial features, and eyes formed into 2 slits stared at Chen Bei. That's what happened. Chen Bei suddenly realized. The two-faced monster has 2 faces, that is, 2 heads. If one is destroyed, the remaining one will take over control of the body. In other words, each two-faced monster must be killed twice. Understanding this, Chen Bei grabbed his sword and attacked, slashing the face on the enemy's shoulder with the sword. Click. 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 The evil killing knife was so sharp that it cut people's faces. The distorted human face screamed strangely. Damage numbers pop up one after another, clearing the second health bar. This time, the two-faced monster was really killed. Chen Bei had no time to relax because the battle was far from over. Just hearing the screams from Yan Hongren, something must have happened. Chen Bei turned around and looked over. Yan Hongren was seen holding a large wooden shield in his hand and leaning against a tree to resist the enemy's arrows. The arrows shot over could even pierce the large wooden shield, and the arrowheads were slightly exposed from the inside of the shield. To make matters worse, the tree Yan Hongren was leaning against moved. Don't forget, this forest is alive. Chapter 47 Authentic. Branches shaped like withered hands stretched out one by one, hugging Yan Hongren's body and wrapping around his arms. Ah! Who is pulling me? Yan Hongren screamed. Chen Bei's head is getting big. Is this NPC just pretending, or is he a real person? He rushed over in a hurry, and while running, arrows were shot at him continuously. There were also a few two-faced monsters approaching with melee weapons, and none of them looked kind. Things are not going well. As Chen Bei ran, he turned the blade over and cut his arm, while activating the skill effect. Level 2 Skill Blood Shadow Clone. Sacrifice 30% of your maximum health. Blood flowed out from the wound, turned into blood mist halfway, and condensed into a human form. The outline of this humanoid is somewhat similar to Chen Bei, and he also has a knife in his hand. Chen Bei could feel that he could control the blood shadow clone remotely and issue orders, and the other party could execute various simple attack commands. The blood shadow clone can last for 30 seconds. As long as it is not destroyed by the enemy during this period, it can fly back and replenish the consumed health points. In other words, we should try our best to ensure that the blood shadow clone is not destroyed and reduce the price paid. Go! Haunt that enemy! Chen Bei ordered with his mind. The blood-red clone rushed over, its body ethereal and dreamy, leaving an extended red shadow behind it as it ran. The blood shadow clone rushed in front of the enemy, blocked the way, and slashed with the sword, fighting very actively. If the enemy's physical attack hits the blood shadow clone, it will also cause damage. The two sides fought back and forth. Chen Bei fought his way through, and even fired to cover himself, knocking down an enemy who was shooting arrows, and then rushed to Yan Hongren. He raised his hand and slashed a few times, cutting off the branches and freeing the opponent. Yan Hongren was shocked and shouted, "I regret coming here." There is no word regret in a man's dictionary, hold on. Chen Bei raised his gun and fired again. Although bullets are precious, they must be used when they are needed. The 30 seconds came quickly, and the blood shadow clone flew back, turned into a red light and entered the wound just opened. The life points I paid just now are now being replenished. It's a good skill. Chen Bei secretly praised. The enemies were approaching, and there were signs of gathering. Counting, there were 8 enemies in the immediate vicinity. Seeing this, Chen Bei decisively took out the whistle bell and squeezed it hard. This bell is very special, with a fleshy texture. There is a mouth underneath, which is usually closed. If you pinch it hard, it will open your mouth and shout. When throwing the whistling bell, a parabola will be formed in the user's field of vision, as well as an attack range after landing. Just don't involve yourself. Let's go. Chen Bei threw it out like a grenade. The whistling bell fell to the ground, right where the enemies were concentrated. Oh, ooh, ooh. The bell opened its mouth and made a sound similar to a baby's night cry, only sharper and harsher. Sound waves form fluctuations that are visible to the naked eye. All nearby enemies were injured and looked very painful, covering their ears. The effect of this thing exceeded Chen Bei's expectations. Several enemies were killed by the sound waves and fell to the ground, bleeding from their orifices. Some escaped from the attack range of the sonic wave and became in a state of residual health. This wave is okay. Chen Bei rushed forward with a knife, harvesting the remaining blood of the enemy. The evil-killing knife in his hand was merciless, and the knife was red. He has basically mastered the characteristics of the two-faced monster, and will consciously look for the second face of the two-faced monster. The location of each hidden face is different. The worst one even grows on the sole of the foot. How much pain do you endure on a daily basis? After a hard fight, Chen Bei killed most of the enemies. The remaining 3 melons and 2 dates saw that the situation was not good, whistled in their mouths, and retreated together. Chen Bei caught up with the nearest deserter and suddenly threw out the equipment hidden in his right sleeve. Death-chasing hook. Wow! A slender chain was thrown out, with an elastic metal claw connected to the end. Fly over and grab the enemy's back, stabbing them deeply into the flesh. Another hard pull brought the unfortunate guy back to the front. Chen Bei slashed with his sword and sent the opponent away directly. Enemies far away have no choice but to scatter like birds and beasts. The battle finally came to an end. Chen Bei breathed a sigh of relief and cleared the battlefield. The whistling bells that were thrown out had to be picked up naturally. Loot all the corpses of the two-faced monster. Chen Bei picked up several 6th and 7th level weapons, including bows and arrows, and many arrows. After all, it is a long-range weapon and will always come in handy. Yan Hongren on the other side calmed down for a moment, took out a bandage from his backpack and bandaged his wound. Chen Bei was greatly relieved to see this scene, at least he didn't have to help Yan Hongren heal his injuries. Healing drugs are really valuable in survival games. How can you be willing to use them on NPCs? Chen Bei sat next to Yan Hongren, and the two of them took a short rest. Yan Hongren sighed with emotion, "Thank you for having you. If I were the only one, I would be dead just now." Do you know you are an NPC? Chen Bei asked casually. What NPC? I don't understand what you are talking about. Yan Hongren looked confused. I don't know if this is just an act, or if it's really set up, so I don't know anything. After resting, the two got up again. Chen Bei suggested walking around the White Bone Mountain and then looking for a breakthrough from the White Bone Mountain. There was a two-faced weirdo just now. He got into the Bone Mountain and then disappeared. There must be something weird here. In my dream, I seem to have dreamed that there was an entrance under the Bone Mountain. After entering, there were underground passages that extended in all directions. That's the new map. Let's go. It's a good thing to make progress. The worst thing is to be stuck in one place without a clue. Chen Bei maintains a positive attitude. The two of them walked around the Bone Mountain and got an unexpected harvest from various bones. I found a level 7 bone knife dagger, a cow skull mask, a wolf tooth necklace, and 2 pieces of paper recording the formula. With so many bones, only some are props and equipment, and some can be collected as materials. The recipes obtained include level 4 doors, level 5 doors, skull doors, skeleton swords, and bone shields. Chen Bei gave the bone knife dagger to Yan Hongren, replacing the spring iron fist. Chen Bei didn't expect the other party to charge forward. As long as he could protect himself and not hold him back, he would be thankful. During the search, the two also found the entrance to a cave hidden under the Bone Mountain. The entrance is a staircase leading down. There was a rotten smell coming from below. When the light shines down, you can't even see the bottom. It seems to be very deep down there. The road is really dark now. I'll get off first, and you can follow. Chen Bei took the lead and walked down holding the flashlight and weapon. Yan Hongren followed closely, looking trembling. Walking all the way, at the end, there is a narrow tunnel in front of you. There is water on the ground, and water drops are dripping from it. Chen Bei illuminated it with a flashlight and continued to move forward, one step deeper and the other shallow. There might be danger down here at any time, so he was mentally prepared. Follow the passage to the end, and there is a fork in the road, one side goes left and the other side goes right. Chen Bei stopped and looked back and forth with his flashlight, but couldn't see any difference. He stopped here without moving. The 3 people in the management group started chatting. Mirror, he stopped. Towel, I looked at the map again. If he goes to the left, he can reach the plot point. If he goes to the right, he will be unlucky. Various traps are waiting for him. It may even cost you your life. Mirror, then he'd better go to the right and end the game early. Towel, it's not good to be passive and slow down at work. Don't underestimate this 0°. Although he is a newcomer, he has received the attention of a distinguished guest. Mirror, okay. For the sake of the distinguished guest. When Chen Bei saw these conversations, he decisively gave up on the right side and turned to the left. It's been a long journey. Vaguely, I could hear a woman singing faintly. Her voice was melodious and sad. Listening to the singing, it's still the ancient lyrics. Chapter 48 Screen Phantom. Did you hear that? Chen Bei stopped, turned around and asked. Yan Hongren nodded vigorously. Both heard the singing. Chen Bei glanced at the management group, but didn't say anything there. Then you can only rely on your own judgment. As we continue to move forward, the singing becomes louder and louder. Until we come to the source of the song. On one side of the passage, soft light spreads out. Chen Bei held a large wooden shield in his hand, slowed down, moved closer step by step, and then moved forward to take a tentative look. On one side is a doorway, and light and singing come from inside. Looking inside, there is a cave inside, and there is an ancient screen. The screen is exquisite, with a wooden frame in relief and a translucent center. You can vaguely see that behind the screen is a voluptuous woman taking a bath. She has a graceful figure and graceful curves. Just her silhouette makes people think wildly. The woman poured water on her body and sang a song. Listen carefully, the singing has a hint of crying. The light source in the room comes from the erected candlesticks and jumping flames. What lights up is not red light, but a gloomy cyan light. The candlestick is located at the back of the screen, and the light shines just enough to outline the silhouette of the woman. In a dark underground passage, I encountered an ancient room, listening to a woman singing quietly, with a screen in the middle. This situation caused a strong psychological discomfort, and everything was so awkward. The singing continues. The water bath clears the toads, the leaves are noisy and cool, and the sound of horses in the alleys begins to stop. I'm leisurely leaning on the exposed well, laughing at the fireflies, and disturbing the paintings with light fans. People lean on the railing for a long time in the quiet night. They are worried and can't go back to sleep. When they are standing, they can make more arrows. The woman became more and more sad as she sang, crying and singing at the same time. Even Chen Bei's courage was a little hairy at this time, and he had goosebumps all over his body. The NPC Yan Hongren on the side was even more timid, his body was trembling. The woman was washing, and it was time to wash her hair. The silhouette of the body printed on the screen makes corresponding movements. Raise your arms, raise your hands. Then he took off his head, and his long hair poured out and fell into the tub. The woman holds her head in one hand and combs her hair with a wooden comb in the other hand. One after another, the movements are slow and neither slow nor fast. The song in his mouth continued to sing. Kong Jian said that the temples are timid and combed, and the golden mirror disappears, and gradually becomes lazy and takes advantage of the time to even out the dye. The plum wind ripples on the ground, the rainbow rain moistens the moss, and a dance turns red. After the song ended, the woman in the room burst into tears. Sudden. A cool breeze came out from behind Chen Bei's ears. At the same time, the woman's vicious questions rang out. Heartless man, why don't you come in and see me? Buzz. Chen Bei was really frightened, his head was buzzing, and he hurriedly turned around to check. Then he saw a woman's head with long hair floating next to Chen Bei, face to face with him, only a dozen centimeters apart. The woman's head was tilted slightly, her face was ashen, there were 2 holes between her eyes, and liquid was flowing down from the break in her neck. Chen Bei's hair immediately exploded, and he swung the evil-killing knife in his hand and struck at it. Poof! The woman's head disappeared into thin air. This knife cut through the air. The woman's head appeared from another place, appearing and disappearing, and rushed towards Chen Bei. The moment the 2 parties came into contact, Chen Bei felt a chill. Bah! The amulet he was wearing suddenly burned, and the flames shone brightly. Ah! The woman screamed and then disappeared. The scene in the room on one side also disappeared and became empty. No screen, no woman, no candlestick. Only a few incomplete skeletons were left on the ground. What just appeared was like a mirage, a dream. Chen Bei gasped for air, picked up the amulet hanging around his waist and looked at it. This amulet was one of his trophies, and he has been wearing it ever since. The amulet is divided into 7 layers. Each time it is triggered, one layer will be burned. The amulet has a chance to trigger only when attacked by some dirty things. There is a chance, not 100%. In addition, the amulet cannot deal with physical attacks, and is only effective against attacks from dirty things. Fortunately, I have such a thing with me, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. My attention was all in the house just now. Who can bear it when they suddenly launch a sneak attack from behind me? It's a game-breaking game, and you're trying to trick people in every possible way. Chen Bei cursed and became furious. Yan Hongren on the side was also frightened. Chen Bei now realizes that this round of the game is different from the previous round. The zombies in the last round of the game are still flesh and blood after all. In this game, there will be some more evil and dirty things that may not be dealt with by conventional means. Chen Bei pinched the amulet on his body and felt a little more at ease. It's hard to get off the tiger, let's go. We have to continue exploring. Chen Bei is still in front, and the NPC is behind. Going further, a new situation appeared. Chen Bei stopped and pointed his flashlight at the top of the passage. There were some tangled tree root-like things. It is a little different from normal tree roots. It was sticky, secreting liquid, and had a fleshy texture, and it even squirmed. Each section has a different thickness, and there are also wisps of forks. What is this? Yan Hongren asked. It won't be a good thing anyway. Chen Bei's backhand was a knife, and it hit it. More fluid spurted out from the break. Those flesh and blood tree roots squirmed violently and shrank back part of the way. It should be the roots of that ancient tree. We may be approaching its true form, so we need to be mentally prepared. Chen Bei glanced at Yan Hongren. I will just risk my life to accompany the gentleman. Yan Hongren insisted. Okay, at least I'll have you as my companion on the road. Why do I feel that what you said is a bit unlucky? How can you be so lucky in a ghost place like this? Chen Bei really misses those zombies in the past. If he could choose, he would rather go back and fight zombies. The next road is like exploring an underground maze. Often encounter forks or turns. He had encountered those weird flesh and blood tree roots many times before. Every time he encountered them, Chen Bei would go up and stab them a few times. Chen Bei often pays attention to the dynamics in the management group and uses that information to help him make judgments and avoid some risks. Otherwise, this adventure will only be more difficult. Later, the two of them came across a half-buried stone tablet with inscriptions on it, so they stopped. Chen Bei used a flashlight to illuminate the words above. It's ancient Chinese and I can't understand it. I know what's written on it. Yan Hongren said in surprise. Do you know him? Chen Bei asked. Well, I dreamed about these words in my dream, so I copied them when I woke up and asked an expert to help translate them. I still remember the general content. It's reasonable. Then tell me. The general idea is this. Yan Hongren, the NPC, started telling stories again. It turns out that what is recorded on this stone tablet is a county annals. Chapter 49 Where are the people? According to the county annals, an alchemist came here, claiming to be a descendant of Su Fu's disciples and mastering strange secrets. The alchemist came here to help the emperor find a way to live forever. He dug around everywhere, exploring and searching. Later, people disappeared one after another in the county. The Yamen investigated the matter and traced it all the way to the alchemist. Later I learned that the alchemist used some kind of magic to create an immortal tree. A flesh and blood fruit will condense on the tree, and eating it will extend your life. It can be said that the fruit of longevity is on the tree of longevity, and you and me are under the tree of longevity. In order to cultivate this tree, the alchemists sacrificed many people, which is why the population disappeared. It's too late to stop this. Mortals can't do anything about the immortal tree, but are trapped in this area by the immortal tree. The county is isolated from the rest of the world. Outsiders can come in, but people inside cannot get out. The alchemist originally expected to exchange the longevity fruit for fame and fortune, but the problem was that even he couldn't get out. The everlasting tree trapped him here too. And this is just the beginning of the disaster. The alchemist and a group of disciples ate the longevity fruit. After eating too much, their bodies mutated and a second human face grew. They have lost the ability to eat normally and can no longer eat normal food. They can only eat longevity fruits from trees to survive. The remaining people in the county were reduced to batches of sacrifices. Day by day, month by month, year by year. The everlasting tree thrives. At the end of the county annals, a key point was mentioned. A hero Yen came here, holding a fairy sword in his hand, and had a battle with the longevity tree. After that, the stone tablets were missing, and it ended abruptly here. We don't know the outcome of this battle of Daxia Yen. It's also possible that the person who recorded the county annals would have died after engraving it here. Chen Bei looked at Yen Hongren, who was also looking at him. Two big men, looking at each other. You said that there was a hero named Yen who came here to fight immortal trees, that is, to fight monsters. Chen Bei said. Well, that's what it says in the county annals. Yen Hongren said. Then, your surname is also Yen. Yes. After that, you often dream about this place. I know what you're going to say. That's right. Doesn't this connect the whole thing? You are clearly a descendant of this great hero Yen, and you came here to complete the unfinished business of your ancestors. Actually, I've thought about it this way, but this inference is too bizarre. And look at me, from head to toe, how do I look like a person who can slay demons? Yen Hongren scratched his head. Isn't it still me? Chen Bei patted his chest. It really depends on you. Yen Hongren smiled. Let's go on the road. There is a fairy sword mentioned in the county annals. I think this may be the key. If we can find the fairy sword used by your ancestors, we may be able to kill the immortal tree. Hopefully. The two set off again. Chen Bei naturally has selfish motives. He guessed that when the game is cleared, the biggest reward may be the fairy sword. Ancient people sometimes exaggerated when they talked about things. Even if that sword is not an immortal magic weapon, it is definitely a very high-end weapon. The two continued to explore along the tunnel, encountering various forks and turns, and walked a long way. As I walked, I came to a crossroads. Chen Bei stopped and looked around. Stop for a moment. There are a lot of roads here. You. Chen Bei glanced back while speaking, and then instantly became stunned. Where are the people? The back was empty, half of the people were gone. I don't know where Yen Hongren went. Without this guy, the plot might not be able to advance. Yen Hongren. Yen Hongren. Where have you gone? Chen Bei yelled and searched anxiously, running wildly in the tunnel. With the running movement, the light of the flashlight rises and falls. The sound of heavy breathing hit the eardrums. Crunch, crunch. Everywhere around the tunnel, strips of fleshy tree roots stretched out, and they grew rapidly as if they had been eaten by golden rubbish. Some tree roots extend towards Chen Bei. Some stumbled on the ground. Some simply block the dead end. The disappearance of Yen Hongren is probably related to these tree roots. Chen Bei gritted his teeth, raised the evil-killing knife in his hand, turned the blade over, stretched out his palm and made a strong stroke on the blade. The palm was broken open, leaving blood. Chen Bei is not summoning the blood shadow clone, but feeding blood to the evil-killing knife. There are talismans on both sides of this knife, which means it has its own talisman to ward off evil spirits. It only needs to be fed blood when activated to take effect. Brush. On both sides of the blade, red light bloomed, and the evil-proof talisman fed with blood shone for a period of time. During this period, Chen Bei's attacks will all have evil-proof effects. Draw the knife. Chen Bei wielded the shining red blade and slashed at the tree roots. The tree roots could not withstand it and broke one after another. It was obviously the roots of the tree that were chopped down, but it felt like flesh and blood were flying everywhere. A large amount of disgusting and sticky juice sprayed on Chenbei's body. Chenbei gritted his teeth, wildly drew his sword, and cut a bloody path. It's just that there are too many tree roots. If you cut off some of them, more will grow out. Chenbei glanced at the management group, but there was nothing to say. It seems that I can only grit my teeth and persist. When destroying tree roots, you will occasionally get some experience points, but your work will not be in vain. Suddenly, a ball of faint blue light appeared and flew in front of Chenbei. There was a vague human face in the ball of light. It looks like a will-o'-the-wisp. Come here, I will take you to find him. Will-o'-the-wisp made a woman's voice. At this time, Chenbei was in a tough battle and was at a loss. Suddenly a will-o'-the-wisp appeared and led the way, and he instinctively followed it. At the fork in the road, the will-o'-the-wisp turned a corner. Come here, your friend is over here. Chenbei fought through thorns and thorns all the way and caught up with the will-o'-the-wisp. In this way, one of the two parties led the way, and the other followed behind. Chenbei thought he had really found help. At this time, a sentence in the management group poured cold water on me. Mirror, there is a trap ahead, just wait and see the show. Falling down is game over. Trap. Chenbei braked quickly and stopped. The will-o'-the-wisp in front noticed that Chenbei had stopped and shouted, "Come quickly. Your friend is right in front." The management group also raised doubts about this matter. Mirror, why did he stop as soon as I spoke, as if he saw what I said? Chenbei felt a chill running down his spine. This is the first time that someone in the management group has doubts. He knew very well how serious the consequences would be if this matter were exposed. My heart beats like a drum. In desperation, Chenbei discovered the clue, pointed to the ground in front of him and said, "Why is the color of this land different?" The will-o'-the-wisps in front of me danced erratically, silently. Chenbei raised his leg again and stepped hard on the abnormal land at the edge. Click. It caused a chain reaction, and a large area in front collapsed directly. Chapter 50 The Immortal Tree. The cave is so dark and deep that you can't see the bottom. If it really falls, capitalize, send. Chenbei just pointed out the problem, which solved the doubts of the management group. No one in the group became suspicious again. As for the will-o'-the-wisp on the opposite side, it drifted away for a few times and then drifted away. Before leaving, he said quietly, "I'm sorry." Sorry? Apologizing for this kind of thing is useless. There was a trap blocking the road ahead. The space in the tunnel was too narrow and there was no room to jump. Chenbei was destined to be unable to catch up, so he had to give up. He took out a bottle of energy drink and drank a few sips to regain some strength. Next, we have to continue looking for Yan Hongren, we can't just let it go. Chenbei fought back, but encountered flesh and blood tree roots again blocking his way. He was like a human-shaped meat grinder, cutting and splitting the tree roots. Fighting all the way and searching everywhere, Chenbei was already red-eyed. Help! A man's faint voice sounded. It seems to be Yan Hongren's voice. Chenbei cheered up and followed the sound to kill. The sound became louder and louder, which was a good sign. Yan Hongren! Chenbei shouted. I'm here. Got a response. Chenbei rushed forward and finally found the other party. Yan Hongren was entangled by some tree roots and looked in a miserable state, with red marks on his neck. He still held the bone knife from before, and he must have resisted. Chenbei stepped forward quickly and cut off the entangled tree roots with a few swipes of his knife to help the other party get out of trouble. Yan Hongren regained his freedom and coughed hard for a while before he recovered. Why did you suddenly disappear just now? Chenbei asked. As I was walking, I suddenly couldn't make a sound, and then I was dragged by the roots of the tree. I saw you getting farther and farther away, and then. Yan Hongren explained what happened just now, and that's about it. Fortunately, the two met again. Even if you don't have claustrophobia, it would be uncomfortable to be in this kind of underground passage. It's always good to have a lot of company. At this time, the flashlight on Chen Bei's hand flickered, which was a sign of low battery. Oops, the battery is almost out. Chen Bei frowned. It's okay. I have spare batteries here. I can give you a few. Yan Hongren opened his backpack, took out a few batteries from it, and handed them to Chen Bei. The batteries in the game all seem to be of the same model and are universally used. Chen Bei is very happy. The battery is a good thing. I immediately replaced the flashlight. The NPC Yan Hongren is sometimes a hindrance, and sometimes it brings some benefits. Let's call it even. Thanks. Chen Bei shook the fully charged flashlight. What should we do next? Yan Hongren asked. We can only continue to explore and look for opportunities to break the situation. We haven't even seen the body of the immortal tree. We have been competing with the roots. Chen Bei said. I'd better walk behind you. There is a rope here. You hold one end and I hold the other end. If I fall behind again, you will notice it. Yan Hongren had a solution and took out a rope from his backpack with a lock on it. Chen Bei is really worried that the situation just now will happen again. He simply put the buckle on his belt so that he would not have to hold weapons and items in his hands. The two of them got on the road and came to a fork in the road. Chen Bei chose a route. Yan Hongren behind him pulled the rope and said, We have walked that road before, so let's go this way. The road here is new. Do you remember the road? Chen Bei was quite surprised. Well, I remember, it's probably like this. Yan Hongren leaned down and carved on the ground with a bone knife, drawing the route the two people took after entering. Chen Bei had deliberately memorized the route before, but there was a section in the middle where he was just trying to fight against tree roots, which messed up his memory. Like this again. Yan Hongren was very helpful again and even drew out the route. Viewed as a floor plan, it doesn't seem too complicated. Being in it is another matter. The map is drawn and I have it in my mind. The premise is that these tunnels will not change. If they change like the woods, I have nothing to do. Yan Hongren said. Okay, just follow the map you drew and explore areas that you haven't been to before. Chen Bei chose to trust the other party's memory. The journey ahead will inevitably be bumpy and full of various situations. He even encountered a sneak attack from a two-faced monster. The two went through many hardships, tried their best, and finally found a way out. A staircase leads upward. The stairs here are not the same as the one we came from. It must lead to unknown territory. He didn't know what was waiting for the two of them up there. Chen Bei felt that there was no need to tie him up with the rope anymore, so he untied the rope and continued walking up. Go all the way to the end of the steps. There is a closed wooden cover on top, which looks quite heavy. Chen Bei pushed it, but it didn't move at all. Later inspection found that there was a door lock wooden bolt blocking one side. He inserted the tip of the knife into the gap and opened the wooden bolt. Pushed hard again, and this time the cover was pushed open. Chen Bei did not rush up, but took a few steps back. It can be seen that his alertness and survival instinct are getting higher and higher. Look up. Above is the foggy sky, and there are some crisscrossing claw branches. The exit area is limited and you can't see much. Chen Bei took out his knife and stabbed him outside a few times, then boldly rushed forward and finally saw the light of day again. After he went up, Yan Hongren also followed. The two of them looked around together. Then both were dumbfounded. Directly opposite, a strange and towering ancient tree rises from the ground. The height is submerged in the clouds and mist. The part connecting to the ground is as thick as 5 people embracing it. The tree trunk has a texture of flesh and blood, is twisted and intricate, with many large and small human face tumors on it, and the differences between men, women, old and young can even be distinguished. The big face is as big as a wheel, and the small one is only as big as a palm. The mouths of these human faces open and close, and thick and foul-smelling liquid flows from their mouths. Thick branches stretched out from the tree, with bloody fruits hanging on them, clustered like a beating heart. The eyes on the faces were all looking at the two outsiders, with different looks, including resentment, hatred, despair, and sadness. "This is the immortal tree," Yan Hongren said with shame. Before, this image was a nightmare. Now, the nightmare has become reality. The immortal tree in front of me has a great visual and psychological impact. Chen Bei's sanity value jumped sharply and became extremely unstable. He had to take out a sedative and inject it on himself to stabilize his mind. The longevity tree suddenly spoke. The mouths on the tree are pronounced by different mouths. Each mouth speaks a word, which spells out what it wants to say. Actually, there are only 4 words in total. The sacrifice begins. After giving an order, many two-faced monsters walked out from the surrounding woods, each holding different weapons in their hands. There were as many as hundreds of them. At the same time, the sky darkened and quickly turned dark, giving people a sense of deep despair. "What should I do?" Yan Hongren asked in a trembling voice. Chapter 51 Will-o'-the-Wisp leads the way. "You still have to ask." "Of course I'm running." Chen Bei cut open his palm and sold the blood, injected it into the evil killing knife, and summoned a blood shadow clone to help. These 2 things directly deducted half of his health, so he had to drink a bottle of healing medicine to replenish it. The current situation is by no means a time for head-on confrontation. A boss, plus 100 miscellaneous soldiers. How can 2 people from Chen Bei defeat him? So there must be something wrong here. No matter how deceptive the game is, it will never design such a fatal situation. Chen Bei looked around, chose a direction that looked weaker, and rushed there with Yan Hongren. This time, Chen Bei fired his bow from left to right, holding a spear in his left hand and a knife in his right hand. The action was unambiguous. Those bastards in the management group started to gloat again. Fawcett, running pretty fast. Mirror, as night falls, those two-faced people will be promoted. They may not be able to escape tonight. Towel, when are the Will-o'-the-Wisp scheduled to appear? Fawcett, we have to wait until they break out of the siege. Towel, the sword started to flash, I wonder if they will notice it. Chen Bei glanced at the conversation in the management group. Will-o'-the-Wisp? Sword? There must be something wrong with the plot again. Chen Bei turned around and looked at the longevity tree. At the top of the tree trunk that extended into the mist, there was indeed a light spot flickering, one after another. Yan Hongren also noticed. Something is glowing. I don't know. Kill him first and then talk about it. Chen Bei focused on fighting, rushing to kill with his blood shadow clone, and using his pistol to clear the way. Ion, we are serious about it. Bang! 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 As long as there are enemies at close range, shoot them all. Whoosh! Some arrows were shot, and one of them hit Chen Bei's head, shattering the wooden box helmet. Thanks to this helmet, it blocked him. Chen Bei showed his head and urged Yan Hongren to follow and not to fall behind. The enemy's circle is shrinking. The trees are also moving, blocking the way. These trees are all controlled by the immortal tree and can even be understood as branches of the immortal tree. Chen Bei rushed to the edge of the encirclement. The triangle of death. The man and the knife flashed together, forming a large triangle, severely injuring several two-faced monsters, thereby breaking a gap. Walk! Chen Bei and Yan Hongren both rushed out. There are trees blocking the road ahead. Chen Bei wielded the evil-killing knife and cut through the thorns, forcibly cutting out a path and leading Yan Hongren through. At this time, a group of will-o'-the-wisps suddenly flew out from the front. Run this way, I'll show you the way. The will-o'-the-wisp made a woman's voice. Chen Bei immediately heard that it was this guy who attracted him to the direction of the trap. According to common sense, you will definitely not trust will-o'-wisps again. But in the management group, it is said that the will-o'-wisp is the key to escape tonight. Take a dead horse as a living horse doctor and follow the will-o'-the-wisp. Chen Bei shouted. Will-o'-the-wisp led the way, and the two followed behind. All around and behind were those haunting two-faced weirdos. On a tree in front, there was a two-faced weirdo standing on the branch, aiming a crossbow at Chen Bei. The second face of this two-faced monster is located on the chest. It is the second face that is responsible for aiming at this time. Chen Bei ran out of bullets, so instead of raising his gun to shoot, he threw out his right hand. Whoosh! A thin chain was thrown out from the cuffs, with an iron claw connected to the end, and it was nailed to the two-faced monster's crotch. With a strong pull, the opponent was pulled down and fell to the ground. Chen Bei rushed forward to touch up the knife and slashed at the two faces several times, until the flesh and blood were blurred. Kill the target, gain 46 experience points, level up to level 9, and gain attribute improvements. Upgraded. Chen Bei couldn't care less about being happy. He picked up the crossbow arrow that fell on the ground and ran forward. Some of the two-faced monsters use bows and arrows, and some use crossbows. Chen Bei was not very good at using both weapons. It just so happened that this crossbow was already loaded with arrows and was ready to go. Chen Bei looked for an opportunity, turned around and pulled the trigger on a pursuer at close range. With a whoosh, the crossbow arrow penetrated the opponent's neck. He knelt on the ground and covered the wound, and black blood overflowed from his fingers. Turn this way. Will-o'-the-wisp turned a corner in front. Where are you taking us? Chen Bei asked. I know where you live, and I'm taking you home. It will be safer there, far away from the everlasting tree. Will-o'-the-wisp answered. After a long day of fussing, it was time to go home. In this way, a will-o'-the-wisp led the way, and two people followed behind. The will-o'-the-wisp would not be confused by the woods and brought the two of them back to the dormitory. It's not safe to come back here though. There was an evil talisman on the door, and the will-o'-the-wisp didn't dare to get close, so it hung around in front of the door. Chen Bei opened the door with the key, and then asked, Can I let you in if I open the door? Do you allow me to come in? Wisp asked. Well, come in. I have something to ask you. Then excuse me. Both of them entered the house like a will-o'-the-wisp. The will-o'-the-wisp was very curious about the things in the house, looking here and there. The two of them, Chen Bei, fought their way out of the siege and faced dangerous dangers. Sitting by the bed to rest, they both felt like they were surviving a disaster. I lied to you before. I'm sorry. The immortal tree forced me to do that. I had no choice. Ghostfire apologized to Chen Bei again. You lied to me before, why did you help us this time? Chen Bei asked. Because the sword lights up. The sword lights up, which proves that a descendant of the Yen family is approaching. Only a descendant of the Yen family can use that sword. Yes, tell me, what happened to that sword? That is an immortal sword that can compete with the immortal tree. Back then, Hero Yen used this sword to fight against the immortal tree for 3 days and 3 nights. Unfortunately, he failed in the end and was killed by the immortal tree. Will-o'-the-wisp paused for a moment, then changed the subject. Before he died, Master Yen pierced the immortal sword into the immortal tree, spent his whole life's energy, and sealed the immortal tree. To this day, the immortal tree still cannot take out the immortal sword. It is like a thorn, stabbing it firmly. There. The will-o'-the-wisp looked towards Yen Hongren, and a human face appeared vaguely in the will-o'-the-wisp. I heard him calling your name. Your name is Yen Hongren, right? It seems that you are a descendant of the great hero Yen, and you must be able to use that fairy sword. Once you get the fairy sword, you can kill demons and kill the immortal tree. Got it. Chen Bei stretched out his hand, put it on Yen Hongren's shoulder, and said seriously, Did you hear that? I leave this matter to you. Yen Hongren was numb and pointed at himself, Are you serious? Of course we are serious. We didn't have enough information before, so we had to run. Now it's different. Let's go find the tree again, get the sword, and kill the tree with your sword. You're done. It's not that simple. The ghost fire from the side rushed over, because using the fairy sword requires a spell, you have to get the spell first. There's so much going on, where's the spell? I will take you there when it gets daylight. Those two-faced people will be even crazier at night and it will be inconvenient to move around. The night was not peaceful. During the next period of time, two-faced monsters would appear and attack the dormitory every now and then. Fortunately, they came in batches, and Chen Bei was able to cope with it. After many battles, he finally made it to daybreak. During the confrontation, Chen Bei also took the time to upgrade the door to level 4 and its durability to 90. I wanted to go up again, but I was short of some materials, so I had to give up. It's dawn, let's go and find that spell. Chapter 52 Scabbard and Spell. Chen Bei opened the door and was about to go out. No, I still need one more thing before I can go out with you. Ghost Hua had another condition. What else do you want? Chen Bei frowned. An umbrella, with the sun shining all the time during the day, is very harmful to me. I can't just go out like this. It's foggy outside, where's the sunshine coming from? There are still some. I'll tell you how to make an umbrella. You can make one for me, and then I can go out. Discovered the prop recipe, bark umbrella. This will-o'-the-wisp also gave me a recipe. It requires wood to make, which is not difficult. It's just that the wood was used to upgrade and repair the door last night. Chen Bei asked the will-o'-the-wisp to wait in the house while he went out to chop down trees in the surrounding area and obtained a lot of wood. After returning, I made a bark umbrella out of wood. This umbrella is truly natural, with a handle and ribs made of wood and covered with a layer of bark. It just works for now. Chen Bei made an extra spare just in case. You can go out now, Chen Bei said. Well, that's it. The will-o'-the-wisp floated under the open umbrella. Lock the door and set off. I don't know if the two-faced monster will come and attack the dormitory, but there's no point worrying about it. The group of people set out on the road, led by the will-o'-the-wisp to provide guidance. There are many relics of the victims scattered in the woods. If you encounter them on the way, I can take you there to take a look. If they are useful, you can take them. Maybe they can be used against the immortal tree. The will-o'-the-wisp said this halfway. On the way after that, she kept walking and took Chen Bei to find various items many times, including many good ones. Including a pair of shoes, a bottle of cans, 2 rolls of bandages, a tent. We even found 5 bullets. I didn't expect the will-o'-the-wisp to have such a use, like an object-finding radar. Later, we finally arrived at the location of the spell. This place is in ruins, with remnants of old-fashioned buildings that have gone through many years of baptism. If you step on it in some places, it will break into pieces, which is very unsafe. Will-o'-the-wisp took the lead to find a cover. After opening it, it looked like a cellar underneath. Shining a flashlight into it, it's quite deep down there. Originally, there was a ladder to go down here. Over the years, the ladder has long decayed. You should think of other ways to get down. Ghostfire said. It's simple, just hang on the rope and go down. Chen Bei looked at Yan Hongren. The other party had a rope, so he quickly took it out and found a position to fix it. There are broken walls around that are barely usable, and the firmness cannot be guaranteed, so Yan Hongren himself can only be used as a fixation. The other end of the rope went down to the dark underground. Chen Bei lay on the edge, feeling that it was not very safe down there. Will-o'-the-wisp, go down and help me see if there is any danger, please remind me. Chen Bei said. Okay, I'll go down and explore the way. The will-o'-the-wisp flew down and circled twice below. There is a snake down here. It looks like a poisonous snake, be careful. It's really dangerous. Chen Bei's worries are not unnecessary. He slid down the rope, drew the knife in his hand, and asked the will-o'-the-wisp to point out the location of the poisonous snake. TSK. TSK. The venomous snake actively moved closer, with patterns on its body and a pointed head. The knife in Chen Bei's hand was longer, and he slashed at the venomous snakes from a distance, killing one first. There were other venomous snakes swimming over, 3 in total. Be careful, there are more here. The will-o'-the-wisp floated to the venomous snake's head. Chen Bei was not very afraid of snakes, so he kept calm and dealt with them one by one until all the poisonous snakes were cleaned up. 2 of the venomous snakes also exploded venom sacs, suggesting that they can be used to make items, or can be directly applied to weapons to quench the poison. Where's the spell? Chen Bei put away his sword and asked. It's over here. The will-o'-the-wisp floated into the distance, illuminating the path with faint blue light. Chen Bei walked over and saw a foreign object. On the opposite wall, there is a layer of pink flesh film, like a living creature, and it can breathe and rise and fall. There is something wrapped inside the fleshy membrane, but you can't tell what it is. Chen Bei instinctively didn't want to touch this thing. What the hell, it's so disgusting. Chen Bei said in disgust. It's the scabbard of the fairy sword. It was left here, and over time, it slowly became like this. The spell that activates the fairy sword is on the scabbard, and only the descendants of the Yen family can understand it. Will-o'-the-wisp explained. Road. Can I touch it? If not, Yen Hongren will come down and get it himself. You can try. Two-faced people like me are untouchable, but you are different. All right. Chen Bei glanced at the management group, confirmed that there was nothing to say, and then approached. He tentatively used a knife to cut through the pink film, which was like tearing apart a layer of flesh, and pus would ooze from it, making him even more nauseated. After peeling off the film, a sword scabbard was indeed wrapped inside. The scabbard was dark and had an uneven surface, giving it the texture of dried bacon. Chen Bei took it in his hand and looked at it, but found no spell. He stuffed it into his backpack and climbed back along the rope. It's your stuff, you should study it yourself. Chen Bei handed the scabbard to Yen Hongren. Yen Hongren took it in his hand, his expression moved, and he murmured, I dreamed about this scabbard in my dream, and it seemed that I wanted to do this. Yen Hongren put his hand into the scabbard. The scabbard was very wide, and his palm could fit most of it into it. Ah! Yen Hongren screamed and pulled out his hand. Looking again, his hand was dripping with blood and the wound was deep. The scabbard fell to the ground and changed. The surface of the black scabbard cracked open, like a scab, revealing the flesh and blood inside, which was pink. The cracked part formed a line of spells, which were not normal words. Yen Hongren ignored the injury on his hand, picked up the scabbard, and looked at the spell on it, his eyes blurred with confusion. I have learned this spell. I should be able to use the spell to control that fairy sword. Yen Hongren murmured. Immortal sword? Is this the scabbard that a fairy sword should have? Chen Bei originally thought it was the kind of fairy-like flying sword in cultivation novels. Looking at it now, that's not the case. No fairy sword scabbard would bite. Yen Hongren took out the bandage and bandaged himself. The will-o'-the-wisp floated over and said excitedly, everything is ready, we can attack the immortal tree. It must be eliminated before dark, and it will become stronger at night. I see that you are very motivated. Will destroying the immortal tree be of any benefit to you? Chen Bei asked. The immortal tree has killed countless people, and the souls of those who were sacrificed cannot be freed. Over time, most souls have been destroyed. I am an exception. If you can destroy the immortal tree, I can be free. It is better than being trapped here all the time. I see. The team took a short rest and then set off on the road. It was better to let the will-o'-the-wisp lead the way and go directly to the location of the everlasting tree. There was no need to walk through the tunnel yesterday. Will-o'-the-wisp can sense the existence of two-faced monsters and avoid some two-faced monsters along the way, saving time. Until you reach the location of the everlasting tree. Chen Bei looked at the immortal tree not far away with a stern look. Round 2. Chapter 53 Second Game. Because it was daytime, I could see more clearly. The immortal tree is extremely thick, as if it is made up of intertwined tendons, with human facial tumors all over it. The trunk stretches out arm-like branches, with claw-like leaves hanging on them, and flesh and blood fruits. Those faces had their eyes closed, as if they were asleep. Suddenly, the faces opened their eyes one after another, as if they noticed something. Above the everlasting tree, light began to flicker again. Immortal sword. Immortal sword. Immortal sword. Faces spoke one after another, and the surface of the tree squirmed violently. It was discovered so quickly that even a sneak attack would be useless. Quickly recite the spell and get that fairy sword back. Chen Bei shouted. Good. Yan Hongren held the scabbard of his sword and muttered something, which was obviously not a human language. In the clouds and mist above, the flickering light seemed to become brighter. The immortal tree itself also reacted and launched an attack on Chen Bei and the others. Like the branches of an arm, they stretched out one by one, and the speed suddenly accelerated. Seeing that the situation was not good, Chen Bei hurriedly pulled Yan Hongren to dodge. Snap! The branches hit the ground, shaking the ground. The force was extraordinary. And there are many branches, not just this one. The branches extend their length and move quickly. Some were smashed on the head, and some were swept close to the ground. The two of them, Chen Bei, were in such a state of embarrassment. Didn't you say that you can control that fairy sword by chanting a spell? Chen Bei asked anxiously. It seems because the distance is too far. I can feel the sword. Maybe I can close the distance. Yan Hongren leaned down and avoided a sweeping tree branch above his head. Okay, let's get closer and give it a try. Chen Bei once again sold his blood and fed the evil killing knife with his own blood. The evil-proofing talismans on both sides of the blade flashed with joy and became even more powerful. He swung his knife to clear a path in front, hacking at the branches. He also held a gun in his other hand, intending to shoot a few shots into the faces of those tree-gnarled people. The evil-killing knife cut through the branches, and the juice from the wound flew out, like thick water, with a fishy smell. The two of them moved forward with difficulty, surrounded by dangers. It's no joke if you get hit by those thick branches. Reluctantly getting closer, Yan Hongren tried to use a spell to activate the fairy sword again. Still not working this time. Are you going to climb up a tree and pull out the sword with your own hands? Chen Bei said with a crow's mouth. This sentence is actually meant for the management group, and I want to copy their words. Sure enough, Chen Bei's desperate performance at this time satisfied the twisted mentality of those administrators. They enjoy seeing players in danger and having a nervous breakdown. Mirror, it feels like he is going to despair. What a novice king, nothing more. Towel, we are not forcing them to pull out the fairy sword with their own hands. As long as they rush to the longevity tree, the spell will take effect. Mirror, pulling out the flying sword is only the first step, the difficulty is yet to come. This 0 degree is likely to be folded here. Chen Bei caught a glimpse of the words in the group. Now there is a clear goal. Approaching the everlasting tree. Chen Bei continued to open the way with his knife, and he could feel that those branches felt pain. When the blade cuts on it, the branches will shake violently and recede. This is a good sign. When the distance is reduced to within 20 meters. Chen Bei fired. After all, the immortal tree is huge and does not require high shooting accuracy. It is much easier than hitting human targets. Bang! 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 2 of the 3 shots hit the snarled man's face, leaving a bloody hole. The face of the tree-burled man showed an expression of pain, howling and screaming, and thick water flew everywhere. Chen Bei's attack drew the attention of Chang Shengshu, and he signaled Yan Hongren to run over quickly. Yan Hongren bravely rushed forward, with the aura of willingly dying on the battlefield. 15 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters. It's very close. At this time, a tree-shaped face opened its mouth, and a long tongue stretched out from the mouth, wrapping around Yan Hongren's waist. The tree-shaped face dragged Yan Hongren to his mouth with his tongue, and opened his mouth to swallow. Seeing this, Chen Bei hurriedly raised his gun and shot, hitting the eye of the man with the snarled face. The tree-shaped face screamed, loosened his tongue, and dropped Yan Hongren. Quickly recite the spell. We can't last long. As soon as Chen Bei finished speaking, he was hit hard by a branch that came sideways, and his body flew out. -75. The damage was really scary. Chen Bei's equipment is still acceptable, plus he has the iron cloth shirt talent card to protect his body. Otherwise it will be more painful. Chen Bei gritted his teeth, poured himself a bottle of healing medicine, and then hurriedly avoided the next round of attacks from the branches. Yan Hongren under the tree has already begun to recite the mantra. At the same time, 2 tongues came over and wrapped around his waist and thighs. The force of his tongue was so terrifying that it pulled Yan Hongren's leg out of joint. Yan Hongren was so painful that he broke into a cold sweat and continued to chant the curse, which was an explosion of quite strong willpower. In the clouds and mist. Click. Just heard a loud noise. A large amount of foul-smelling water spewed out from above, almost like a light rain. A ray of red light flew over from above and rushed towards Yan Hongren. With 2 swipes, Yan Hongren's tongue, which was tied up, was cut off by the red light. Yan Hongren fell to the ground, still holding the previous scabbard in his hand. A sword flew over and flew right into the scabbard. The fairy sword is in hand. Yan Hongren's eyes widened and he said in surprise, "The fairy sword flew down. Huh, we are saved. Look at this fairy sword again, its appearance is very special." At the position of the sword grid, 6 small tentacles stretch out, like a living creature, moving randomly. At the end of the small tentacles, there is a round mouthpart, which is densely packed with circles of small fangs. The hilt of the sword was pitch black, made of air-dried bacon, similar to the scabbard, with an uneven surface. At the end, there is a bead similar to an eyeball, translucent, with strands of red thread inside. What a fairy sword! The gnarled face on the opposite side stuck out its tongue and attacked Yan Hongren. Brush! Yan Hongren unsheathed his sword and swung it repeatedly to cut off the attacking tongue. The blade of this fairy sword is more than 1 meter long and 1 palm wide. The spine of the sword still has the texture of bacon, but the blade has a translucent sharpness. Yan Hongren made a series of attacks in a very orderly manner, but his injured leg was a little dragging him down and he was limping. Chen Bei briefly observed it and felt that something was not good. The performance of this sword was not powerful enough to turn the tide of the battle. Seeing that Yan Hongren was in a worrying situation alone, Chen Bei rushed over, intending to fight with the opponent. Wait until he finally gets close. Whoosh! Yan Hongren turned around, waved the fairy sword in his hand, and slashed Chen Bei's head and face with the sword. At this time, Yan Hongren looked like a madman, with a ferocious face and eyes as wide as eggs that were about to be squeezed out. Chapter 54 The Immortal Sword is finished. Seeing the sword coming, Chen Bei hurriedly dodged, but he was too late and his arm was scratched by the sword. Blood splattered out. Are you crazy? Chen Bei shouted angrily. This voice woke up Yan Hongren. When he came to his senses, he realized that he had chopped the wrong person. Yes, I'm sorry, it's this sword that controls me. Yan Hongren raised the fairy sword in his hand. Looking at this sword again, it has changed compared to before. The 6 small tentacles stretched out by the sword grid, with teeth and suction cups at the end, all bit into Yan Hongren's arm. The small tentacles are still squirming from time to time. Good personal sword combined into one. Chen Bei frowned, it seemed that this sword was really not a good thing. There is no time for them to study this. The immortal tree's attack strikes again. This time, it's not just a branch attack. Tree roots of flesh and blood suddenly pierced the ground and wrapped around the heels and legs of the 2 people. Chen Bei hurriedly swung his sword to cut off the roots of the tree, while still trying to deal with the branches above. Yan Hongren's attack became even more crazy, and he fell into that crazy state again. The so-called fairy sword flies up and down, surrounded by red light, and can even cut out sword energy and hurt the enemy from a distance. A large number of branches and roots were cut off and were squirming on the ground. Those faces on the everlasting tree make sounds, 1 face, 1 word. You drew your sword and released the seal. Now I am free. The ground shook violently, and the immortal tree rose up from the ground, pulling out 4 particularly thick roots from the ground. These 4 tree roots are like a demonic dragon and its legs. Now it can move around. The everlasting tree bestows eternal life. The everlasting tree bestows eternal life. The everlasting tree bestows eternal life. Those two-faced weirdos appeared from all directions again, each one of them muttering something morbid and crazy. The situation becomes increasingly unfavorable. Chen Bei even had the intention of quitting. This round of the game still has the end of time mechanism. As long as you persist until the end of time, you can still pass the level, but the rewards will be smaller. Yan Hongren. Can you do it? Chen Bei shouted. Yan Hongren on the side looked extremely painful. I know what this sword wants me to do. It still lacks one heir of the Yan family, one less. What's missing? I have to complete this sword before I can fight against the immortal tree. During this period, I have to rely on you to protect me. After saying that, Yan Hongren turned the sword over and pointed the tip of the sword at his mouth. Then, thrust it in hard. Yan Hongren stuffed the sword into his mouth inch by inch, and blood poured out of his mouth. It was such a severe pain, but he continued. The tip of the sword even penetrated his body and stabbed out from below. Chen Bei was dumbfounded. Did this guy go crazy and commit suicide? Management Group. Fawcett, the sword is about to be finished, let's see if he can hold it. Mirror, I like this sense of mission, or destiny. Towel, how can pure heroism exist in our game? Power comes at a price. Chen Bei realized that this was part of the plot of the game. An important link. It seems that we must defend this place and help Yan Hongren complete the evolution of the fairy sword. There is something that Chen Bei wanted to try just now. He took out the whistling bell from his bag, squeezed it hard, and threw it toward the immortal tree like a baseball. The whistling bell fell to the ground and began to scream. The sonic attack just covered many burled faces. The attack works. The sound waves caused damage, causing the immortal tree to taste the pain and buy some time. Chen Bei took the opportunity to reload the ammunition, filled the pistol magazine, and was determined to fight. Fight! The evil killing knife is combined with a pistol, and the bow is fired left and right. How long do you need? Chen Bei asked. Yan Hongren did not answer, but kept kneeling on the ground, raising his head, with blood and tears in his eyes. The hilt of the sword remained outside the mouth, and the 6 small tentacles on the sword grid entered Yan Hongren's mouth, sucking something from inside. I don't know if this is a ceremony or something else. Chen Bei fought hard alone. Not only did he have to face the attack of the immortal tree, but there were also two-faced monsters approaching around him. The whistling bells stopped screaming and could not help for the time being. The immortal tree can wreak havoc again and increase its offensive. Chen Bei was already alone, and he had to protect Yan Hongren, which was simply too much for him. At this time, a will-o'-the-wisp flew over. I'm here to help you. You must persist until this fairy sword is forged. It was the will-o'-the-wisp who led the way before. She flew to Chen Bei's side, emitting an icy blue light from herself and hitting the enemies surging around her. Multiple helpers relieve a certain amount of pressure. Chen Bei was injured and poured himself another bottle of medicine. Now he was getting used to the damn smell. Xiao Qian. You betrayed me again. I will never forgive you this time. The everlasting tree made an angry sound. Chen Bei was only focused on fighting and didn't even hear what the immortal tree was shouting. He stole a glance at Yan Hongren. The opponent's body had been drained by the fairy sword, and he was like a mummy kneeling there. 2 eyeballs drooped out of their sockets, and the lens ligaments were still connected in the middle. But the fairy sword hasn't let him go yet, and continues to absorb it. A series of strange red lights bloomed, exuding a creepy aura. Where is this fairy sword? It's obviously a magic sword. Chen Bei emptied the magazine and fired the last bullet, then changed his equipment and replaced it with a bone shield to resist attacks. This was made before going out, and it is better than the large wooden shield I used before. The sun will burn me, and I won't be able to hold on anymore. I'll do you one last favor. The will-o'-the-wisp left these words and then exploded. A circular blue light pushed all surrounding enemies back 5 meters away, and even the branches of the longevity tree were bounced away. After releasing this final blow, the will-o'-the-wisp was destroyed. Now, Chen Bei is fighting alone again. Those enemies who were forced to retreat soon came back. The Triangle of Death. Chen Bei drew a triangle with his sword, protecting Yan Hongren in it and cutting off the enemies around him. He returned to his original position and was already dying. No guns, no strength, no ammunition and no food. A two-faced monster roared and rushed towards him. Chen Bei gritted his teeth and stretched out his hand to press the other person's face. The corpse skin gloves he wears have a fear effect. If they come into contact with the enemy, they will see terrifying illusions. Ah! The two-faced monster fell into fear and screamed repeatedly, waving the weapons in his hands and injuring his accomplices around him. This is just causing trouble for the enemy and won't change anything. More enemies rushed over, and those branches and roots pushed Chen Bei into a desperate situation. I can't hold it anymore. Chen Bei rushed to Yan Hongren and grabbed the hilt of the sword. He pulled hard and pulled out the sword. This became his last hope. There were 6 small tentacles on the sword grid before. And now, it has become 7. Obviously, the added tentacle was the reward for sacrificing Yan Hongren. At the spine of the sword, the bacon-textured surface cracked open and opened a mouth. The mouth was full of small fangs, but there was no tongue. This immortal sword is finished. Chapter 55 7 Swords. 7 Swords. Star Rating. Equipment with star rating is of higher quality than equipment of the same level. Level 20. Category, Equipment. Attribute, Physical/Mysterious. Attack Power, 205. Durability, 148 of 148. Mana, 200 out of 200. Effect A, Cut Out Scarlet Sword Energy. It consumes 50/20/10 mana and has 3 levels. The greater the consumption, the stronger the power. Effect B, when hitting an enemy, it absorbs a small amount of mana, vitality, and fighting spirit, and feeds part of it back to the holder. Effect C, within a short distance, use a specific spell to summon the 7 swords to fly to you. Effect D, Blessing at Night. It will be strengthened in all aspects at night. Cooldown, Effect A 0.3 seconds. Negative, when used, it is forced to connect with the weapon. The connection will cause erosion to the user. If it exceeds 2 minutes, the sanity will gradually decrease. When the sanity is too low, the character will be captured by weapons and become a puppet. Description: Call this evil thing a fairy sword. Are you angry or not? Level 20 Weapon, 7 Swords. Attack power exceeds 200. This weapon has its own mana, and to release its effects, you need to consume your own mana. Looks pretty powerful. It's just that the negative effects are so terrible. If you use it for a long time, it will actually reduce your sanity and even cause you to lose your body. In other words, you must control the time when using it. The equipment Chen Bei obtained before ranged from a few levels to 10 levels. For him, a level 20 weapon was simply a change from a shotgun to a cannon, an epic-making improvement. The 7 small tentacles on the sword grid stretched out and bit Chen Bei's left arm one by one. Who knows that he is left-handed? A 2-minute countdown appeared in front of him. The battle must be resolved within the time limit. Chen Bei could feel the tingling pain in his arms, and a violent and manic mood erupting. This must be the influence of the Qixing sword. I just can't care about this anymore. Right now, I just want to chop you all into pieces. Chen Bei crossed the sword body and swept it with all his strength. Scarlet Sword Energy. A blood-red airflow swept out horizontally, and the attack range extended to 10 meters away. A large number of branches were cut off, and multiple two-faced monsters were split into 2. Dirty blood splattered and pus flew everywhere. The broken half of the body was crawling on the ground. That's it. Use this immortal sword to kill people. It was the small mouth on the sword spine that spoke. Chen Bei tried the power, and it was really powerful. It was not in the same dimension as those low-level weapons. The balance of victory is flipped. Chen Bei started a fierce attack, single-handedly killing the longevity tree on the opposite side. There is a kind of momentum that kills gods when gods block them, and kills Buddhas when Buddha blocks them. The Qixing sword in his hand slashed out in succession. There are 3 different gears that Chen Bei needs to control by himself. The highest level consumes 50 mana, which is too much. Most of the time I still use the lowest level of consumption. Fortunately, the Qixing sword also has the effect of sucking blood and mana, so it can fight a protracted war. The premise is to use the sword to fight in close quarters and hit the enemy. Therefore, you can't just use long-range attacks in battle, but you have to change them. When there are few enemies, fight in close quarters to suck blood and mana. If there are many enemies, release Scarlet Sword energy. 1 person and 1 sword, forcefully carve out a bloody path. Wherever it goes, everything is broken. Chen Bei is simply like a flesh and blood harvester. Now it is impossible to tell who is the demon and who is the human. Perhaps, this game is about turning people into madmen. I'm sorry, Mom, I failed your teachings. I failed to become a law-abiding person. Instead, it turned into a murderous killing machine. Chen Bei used melee combat to replenish his consumption, and then slashed out with another sword. The blood-red air flow spread and killed 3 more people. Step forward through the blood. The distance to the everlasting tree is much closer. The fairy sword is forged. No, don't. The longevity tree was actually afraid. It used its roots to move backwards, and at the same time, it waved its branches and dropped them towards Chen Bei. Chen Bei swung his sword upward, cutting off the branches, and then charged forward with his sword. He rushed to the opposite side of the immortal tree, jumped up on the tree roots, and hacked at the burrs on the human faces. I heard screams one after another. The faces of those people were cut open, torn into pieces, and pus spurted out. Chen Bei danced the Qixing sword crazily, and pierced the Qixing sword deep into the immortal tree, stirring it up inside. Fight to support fighting, mana is restored. Chen Bei swung his sword from inside the longevity tree, and the sword drew an arc, cutting from the inside to the outside. The Scarlet Sword energy erupted from the inside, splitting the longevity tree open, and the fracture extended all the way upward. The inside of the immortal tree is revealed, with flesh, fascia, intestines, organs, nerves, and a large amount of pus, forming a crazy scene. It hurts me to death. The faces of the everlasting tree screamed and continued to retreat. Chen Bei worked hard and struck out with another sword at an angle. This sword directly cut off half of the tree trunk and smashed it to the ground, and those faces screamed even more sadly. A change occurred above, and the sky quickly became dark. Great, it's finally dark. The longevity tree made a sound of surprise. Huh, stinky SB, I will become stronger at night. 2-legged sheep, take action and kill this piece of rotten meat. I have been displeased with it for a long time. The Qixing sword made a sharp and crazy sound. Chen Bei really needs to speed up. Because there are less than 10 seconds left in the 2-minute time limit. Chen Bei wildly drew out his sword, feeding on fighting, absorbing more mana, and then slashed out a wide range of Scarlet Sword energy. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Time's up. But the everlasting tree is not dead. From the next second on, Chen Bei's rationality began to decline, and the Qixing sword's erosion of him became even greater. My vision became blurry, and everything in the world was distorted, like countless glowing earthworms crawling around. Some thoughts that didn't belong to him came out. He wanted to cry, laugh, go crazy, fly higher, and give the whole world a middle finger. I'm going to shake things up. Swish. 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 One after another Scarlet Sword energy chopped the huge longevity tree into countless pieces, large and small. Kill special targets and get 1000 experience points and additional rewards. Level up to level 10, gain attribute improvements, and unlock skill slots. Streams of light popped up, and the longevity tree burst out with various rewards. The two-faced weirdos around them depend on the immortal tree to sustain their lives. When the immortal tree died, they all died and fell down. The clouds and fog in the night sky dispersed, and the forest finally cleared the clouds and saw the moon. Under the moonlight, one person and one sword stood on top of the mountain of corpses, stopped moving, and bathed in the baptism of the moonlight. The erosion of the Qixing sword continues, trying to seize control of the body. Chen Bei has lost himself and has various hallucinations. A small colorful park. The sun casts a hexagonal spot of light. A little girl was sitting on the swing, smiling happily, being swung to high places again and again. Behind the swing is a little boy. The little boy shouted that it was his turn, but the little girl refused to come down. Chen Bei, let me play for a little longer, and I'll give you a kiss, okay? The little girl smiled. In a messy room belonging to a boy, the slim girl taught the boy a lesson with her homework book. Didn't I teach you this question? Why do you still get it wrong? We agreed that we would be admitted to the same university. How can you do it if you don't work hard? The boy twisted his face, looking awkward. In the white ward, she was lying on the bed, covered with snow-white sheets. Her cheeks were sunken and she was no longer as beautiful as before. But she still smiled, raised her hand, and gently touched Chen Bei's cheek. You have to live a good life with my share. Chapter 56 Xiaoqian. Live well. Stay alive. Different time and space. Different her. Saying the same thing. A pair of clear and beautiful big eyes stared at Chen Bei. Then he stretched out his slender white palms and gently pushed him out. Chen Bei opened his eyes. Back to this crazy reality. Is this reality? Never mind him. Chen Bei shed tears and roared. He pulled out the Qixing sword connected to his left hand and tore apart the tentacle connections. He slumped down and knelt down, pressing the blade of his sword against his lower body to support his body, breathing heavily. Consciousness gradually returned. The memories of the past are still hurting my heart. Shu Ting, you saved me again. Chen Bei murmured. A small blue light spot that flickered on and off flew past in front of Chen Bei, but he didn't notice it. Chen Bei took a short rest and felt a little better. Then he stood up and looked around. It's amazing. Even in this state, you can still break free from the control of this immortal sword. If there is one, there will be two. The future is long. Sooner or later, your body will be mine. The little mouth on the Qixing sword smiled evilly. What a beautiful thought. Chen Bei said coldly. At this moment, the scattered fragments of the immortal trees on the ground flew out with a stream of light and hit the Qixing sword. Then patterns of human faces were formed on the sword. It was you who sealed me before, now it's my turn to seal you. Those faces speak human words. The Qixing sword has been sealed, its level has been reduced to level 13, and its attributes and abilities have been adjusted accordingly. It takes a lot of fighting to resolve the seal and restore the level. Chen Bei and Qixingjian themselves were both stunned. I didn't expect that the immortal tree would be able to play such a trick even though it was dead but not stiff. The 7 swords are sealed. Level down. The weapon that was originally level 20 has now become level 13, and it has not been weakened at all. You idiot. You're a useless piece of rotten flesh. You're already dead, but you still want to trick me. I can't wait to resurrect you and then kill you to pieces. Qixing sword's own reaction was even more intense than Chen Bei's. He began to curse and tried to break the seal, but to no avail. The seal has solidified. This is the revenge of the everlasting tree after exhausting its last strength. Chen Bei went to find the scabbard and the whistling bell that he had thrown out before. Shut up. Stop swearing. Chen Bei returned the sword to its sheath. Qixingjian suddenly became quiet. It seems that the scabbard can shut it up. Of course, Chen Bei was also unhappy that the weapon level had dropped, but the matter was a foregone conclusion. Fortunately, the seal can be lifted gradually, and the method of lifting is relatively simple. Just use the Qixing sword to fight. Chen Bei is only level 10. A level 13 weapon in his hand is powerful enough and is already a weapon beyond his own level. After gathering his mood, Chen Bei began to check the items dropped by the boss. 5 items in total. They are level 12 Rattan armor, level 11 creeping belt, ground thorn trap *5, universal material *20, and basic medical kit *1. Vine armor is equipment, invulnerable to water and fire, and has a defense power of 70. The creeping belt is a belt wrapped around the body. When taken off, it becomes a living creature and has certain defensive capabilities. As its name suggests, ground thorn traps are placed on the ground in advance. If you step on them, you will be hit. They are suitable for protecting dormitories. Universal materials also have a literal meaning and can replace materials in formula items when making them. It can only replace the base material, such as wood, stone, parts box, nails, wire, and so on. Some special materials cannot be replaced. The medicine box was opened, and there were multiple medicines inside, which I had obtained before. The more of these consumables the better. It's a pity that no bullets exploded. All my bullets were empty. Chen Bei felt that there was a slight flaw in the ointment. Looking around, it was a mess. Chen Bei's eyes were attracted by the red fruits scattered on the ground. This is the fruit of the everlasting tree. Chen Bei walked over and picked up one. Obtain life fruit *1. Chen Bei looked at the effect and felt something in his heart. Eating the life fruit can increase the upper limit of blood volume by 5 points. Normally, when you level up, your upper limit of life only increases by 5. This improvement is still quite possible. Chen Bei immediately started a large-scale search to pick up the fruits of life scattered everywhere. I saw before that there are quite a lot of fruits on the longevity tree. After the war, only 5 were found during the search. Chen Bei ate them one by one, which increased the upper limit of blood volume by 25 points, which was of great help. During this period, I also picked up some miscellaneous things and stuffed them into my backpack. Chen Bei is now equipped with 2 backpacks. One is a normal backpack. One is a crossbody bag. This equipment method is allowed in the game, greatly increasing his carrying capacity. Brother, you contributed a lot to this battle. Even if you are an NPC, I will remember you in the future. As for your relics, I took them all away. I hope you don't mind. It's useless to mind. Chen Bei took away Yan Hongren's backpack, which contained many things, such as ropes used before, medicines, survival necessities, etc. It's nothing too special. Chen Bei even lit a fire and cremated Yan Hongren's body. It's worthy of the other party. The fire is still burning. Chen Bei turned around and planned to find a place to rest. As soon as he turned around, he noticed that there was a squirming remains of an immortal tree. Are you kidding? This monster is still alive? Chen Bei's nerves that had just been relaxed became tense again. Puff! The wreckage burst open, and a scroll sewn with flesh and skin flew out from it, with an eye on a black background and red pupils. It's the remains of a blood sacrifice. There is such an evil thing inside the immortal tree. It also proves that there is more than one remaining blood sacrifice scroll. Could it be that these things are scattered in various game rounds, waiting for players to collect them? Chen Bei didn't have time to think too much. He rushed over, jumped up, and grabbed the blood sacrifice scroll in his hand. He knew that this thing was extremely evil, and he couldn't even take a second look at it before stuffing it directly into his dimensional backpack. This thing made him break into a cold sweat again. It's very difficult to kill the immortal tree in order to get the blood sacrifice scroll. Now I have 2 blood sacrifice scrolls. If I collect more, they might be of some use. Old players must know the importance of the blood sacrifice fragments and cannot reveal this to outsiders. Chen Bei thought about it. With nothing to do after that, Chen Bei sat down to rest and wait for the time to end. A small blue light spot flew past his eyes, like a blue firefly. Chen Bei recalled his true love named Shooting, which was his white moonlight and eternal pain. So he didn't notice the existence of the blue light spot. Finally, there was a conversation in the management group that reminded him. Fawcett, he didn't find Xiaoqian's remaining will-o'-the-wisp. Towel, Xiaoqian's long-term value is no less than that of the 7 swords. Mirror, who made him look bad? In a while, Xiaoqian will be completely shattered. Xiaoqian? Will-o'-the-wisp? Chen Bei frowned. Where is this? He raised his head and looked around, and then he noticed that there was a small blue light spot shaking around in front of his eyes. It was about the size of a grain of rice and was easy to ignore. The blue light spots are like fireflies, flickering on and off. Chen Bei felt that this blue color looked familiar, and he suddenly felt blessed. Are you the will-o'-the-wisp from before? Are you still alive? After Chen Bei said it, he realized that the word alive was not appropriate to use on the other person. Blue light swirled in mid-air, as if responding to Chen Bei's words. Chen Bei raised his hand, and blue light fell on his palm. Soon, the blue light started flying again, very slowly, and gradually farther away. Chen Bei realized that this blue light might be guiding him somewhere, so he got up and followed. Chapter 57 Returned to the dormitory building. The blue light led Chen Bei far away, through a forest, and came to an open space. There is a large stone slab pressed here. There seems to be something down there. Chen Bei leaned over and moved the big stone slab away. Now he is very powerful and can lift his weight with ease. Below is another space similar to a cellar, pitch black. Chen Bei took out Yan Hongren's rope, wrapped it around a nearby tree, and followed the rope into the ground. At the same time, use a flashlight to illuminate and observe the situation below. Below, there are some human bones scattered around, as well as large and small jars. No danger has been found yet. Chen Bei landed on the ground and picked up a jar. There is a word in the middle. On both sides are written, thousands of years of wealth and prosperity for all generations. This is the urn. Chen Bei understood instantly. So why did Blu-ray bring him here? Chen Bei looked at the light spot. The blue light continued to fly, landed on one of the small urns, and stopped moving. That means clearly that this urn is a special existence. The Tao, in the management group, said, the 6th person in the 3rd row, he will soon get the urn belonging to Nia Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian? Nia Xiaoqian? Chen Bei really didn't expect that the will-o'-the-wisp who helped him was actually Nia Xiaoqian. Pu Songling can't collect your copyright fees for bullying, right? Chen Bei cursed, walked over and picked up the urn belonging to Xiaoqian. The blue light disappeared into it and disappeared, just like going home. I will take your urn away and help you find a new home. Chen Bei stuffed the urn into his dimensional backpack. The urn and Xiaoqian naturally do not belong to the category of living things, and can be stored casually. Chen Bei returned to the ground. Looking up again, the sky has turned white, and a ray of dawn shines on the earth. If you pass this round of the game perfectly, you will be rewarded with 5 game coins. Based on your outstanding performance in this round of the game, you will be specially rewarded with a Dead Tree Blooms badge. This round of the Eternal Tree game is over. I will return to the dormitory building soon. Countdown, 55 seconds, 54 seconds, 53 seconds. This round of the game is finally over. Chen Bei relaxed. Although I didn't spend much time in the game, I felt like I was in another world. The game is over, and the personnel in dormitories are being safely transferred. The overall score of this round of the game is S level. As a trainee administrator, you will receive 100 management points. Please continue to work hard and strive for an early promotion. You have been removed from the Everlasting Tree Management Group. Welcome back to Junior Dormitory Building Number 9. The house number remains unchanged, still 606. Entered the dormitory group chat. The remaining time until the next game starts is 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 57 seconds. With Chen Bei's return, he once again entered the group chat. Before entering a single-player game, Chen Bei was cut off from other players. For example, friends who have been added before cannot be contacted. It seems. Only in the same dormitory building. Or players in the same game can use the chat function to communicate. Chen Bei appeared in his dormitory again. It is true that a golden nest or a silver nest is not as good as your own doghouse. I felt much better when I came back. Chen Bei opened his backpack and took out the Qixing sword he had just acquired. The scabbard has the texture of bacon, there are 7 small tentacles growing on the sword grid, and there is a bead at the end of the hilt. The sword has not yet been unsheathed, giving people a restless mood. Undoubtedly, this is the biggest gain from this single book. Level 13 secret weapons have star bonuses and growth properties, and can be upgraded together with Chen Bei. This will be Chen Bei's main weapon for a long time. The future is promising. Chen Bei took out the "Spring Comes from Dead Trees" badge as an extra reward. The effect is to increase the upper limit of health by an additional 10%, which is not bad. The reminder says that you can only wear 1 badge. The 2 badges of King of Beginners and Dead Trees can only be worn interchangeably. Then he took out Xiaoqian's ashes urn. "Hey, can you hear me?" Chen Bei said towards the urn. The urn didn't respond. Xiaoqian came to help before, launching a large-scale attack against the sun, almost killing her soul, leaving only a small spot of light. It is estimated that she will need to recuperate in her own urn for a while before she can recover. "Where should I put you? I have to find a place with backlight." Chen Bei walked around the dormitory and finally chose to stuff it under the bed. Change to before. He certainly wouldn't put an urn under his bed. It doesn't matter now. What is bad luck or not? Chen Bei tidied up and changed into a set of low-key equipment. Anyway, the dormitory building is absolutely safe, and there is no need to arm yourself with equipment. Chen Bei has played the game for 2 rounds and can barely be considered an old player. I also have a basic understanding of the dormitory building and am familiar with the roads. He opened the door and went out, locking the door. The dormitory building is absolutely safe. People cannot harm each other or attack other people's dormitories. Just lock the door and everything will be fine. The rooms in the corridor are next to each other. Can see the difference between doors. Some doors are more advanced, and there are some special doors. For example, there was a door protected by iron bars, which was electrified and sparks emitted from it. Other facilities can also be installed on the door, such as a camera. Several doors in the corridor are equipped with cameras that can monitor the area in front of the door and have a better view than door mirrors. Chen Bei looked at these doors and made up his mind to strengthen his own door so as not to worry about being robbed every time he went out. Chen Bei went downstairs and went to the public bathroom, where he took a good wash. He estimated that when the dormitory is upgraded in the future, it will have its own bathroom, and there will be no need to use public bathrooms. After washing, I look refreshed and handsome again. Chen Bei walked out of the bathroom and happened to meet an acquaintance who had just walked out of the women's bathroom and his hair was still wet. It's the player named Hot Girl. The hot girl is wearing a black leather jacket and a small leather skirt. She has exaggerated curves on her chest and a pair of thighs that give people a very strong feeling. She also saw Chen Bei, with a stiff expression and dull eyes. The last time I saw her, she was very enthusiastic, and she was completely different from now. Something may have happened to her. "What's wrong with you?" Chen Bei asked. "It's you. Let's talk somewhere else," Hot Girl said tiredly. After a while, the two appeared in the restaurant in the dormitory building. The most basic free meals will be provided here, but they cannot be taken away and can only be eaten here. Both the ordering port and the food delivery port are closed, ordering in seconds and serving food in seconds, black technology. From the outside, you can't see the chef or staff inside. The two faced each other and sat at the dining table. The hot girl drank colorful ice-cold cocktails and had no appetite for food. Chen Bei felt that he hadn't had a hot meal for a long time, so he ordered a pork rib rice with hot soup, which was delicious. Chen Bei didn't need to ask, the hot girl spoke on her own. "Oh, the last round of the game was so terrible, I can't even recover now. I entered a single-player game, and what you entered should be a normal group game." Chen Bei gnawed on the pork ribs, which tasted quite good. Yes, this building and the game itself have their own time logic. They are controlled by humans and cannot be calculated using common sense. I know a little bit about this. You entered the single-player game and disappeared out of thin air. I stayed in the dormitory for one more day and then entered the game. Although we entered the game at different times, the node when we returned was the same, which was 8 o'clock in the morning. If it is a standard 24-hour holiday, then entering the game is also at this time. Enter at 8 o'clock in the morning and leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yes. The hot girl nodded and took another sip of wine through a straw. What is the name of the game you entered this time and how is it played? Chen Bei asked. The game I entered this time is called Pure Black Night. Chapter 58 Tu Yile. When the name of the game was mentioned, the hot girl's hands shook, showing an expression of lingering fear. She quietly described the content and general experience of the game in the tone of the person involved. In this round of the game, players will enter a pure black environment. There is no light in the game. Even if you turn on the light, you can't see anything. It's darker than a blind person. Even the game interface is hidden. Only at the beginning, there are the most basic tips. Players bring their own keys and must find their dormitory door in the dark and open it with the key. If you can return to your dormitory, you have successfully cleared the level. The seemingly simple clearance conditions are actually extremely dangerous. Players can't see anything in the dark and can only move forward. It is made clear at the beginning of the game that there are monsters in the darkness. Therefore, every player is on tenterhooks. Once they come into contact with a moving target in the dark, they will think it is a monster and launch an attack. Many times, what I hit was not a monster, but another player. In the darkness, monsters roared and players screamed one after another. The designer of the game is a pervert. He is a devil. I don't even know how long I spent in the dark, it felt like several months. If there hadn't been a doll hanging on my door lock, it would be easier to tell. He would have died inside. The hot girl was so excited that she cursed loudly. Calm down, it's all over. Chen Bei comforted. Passed? Hee. I have passed this round of the game and can relax for a day, but what about the next round of the game? No matter how good I am or how lucky I am, how many rounds can I survive? That's true. I can't find any reason to comfort you, because I am also in this mountain. Let's have S**x. Maybe in the next round of the game, we will all die. What else is there to worry about? Why not indulge and be a romantic ghost even if you die? A man and a woman were lying on the bed. Everything that needs to be done has been done. There were still traces of madness on the bed. Both of them knew very well that this time of love between men and women was just a physical outlet. No further development is possible. There are no emotional factors. Are you feeling better? Chen Bei leaned on the bedside and turned his head to look at the hot girl beside him. This is the happiest I've ever been. It's so enjoyable. I feel a lot better all of a sudden. The hot girl looked satisfied and pressed herself into Chen Bei's arms. Do you say that to every man you sleep with? Chen Bei complained. No. Hot girl denied. Chen Bei gently broke away from the woman's restraints and sat up. Get up when you feel better. I'm going to buy things and get more information. You said before that you would give me a lot of drawings for free, so send them to me quickly. You guys are so ruthless. Hot girl complained bitterly. Afterwards, both of them got dressed. The hot girl asked Chen Bei for his opinion, and after being approved, she took out a box of cigarettes and lit one for herself. Although I drank, smoked, and slept with a man I just met. But I'm still a good girl. These drawings were sent to me by other old players last time, and they are all forwarded to you. The contents are very messy, they will come in handy. There is also an upgrade and unlock list, which I have also given to you. The hot girl copied hundreds of recipe contents through private chat and sent them to Chen Bei. Chen Bei turned over the pages and his eyes lit up. The formula includes doors above level 5, dormitories above level 5, as well as various weapons and props. For old players, these recipes are irrelevant and are just rubbish. But for Chen Bei, who had just cleared 2 rounds of the game, it was crucial. There is also some information about levels. The 3rd skill slot is unlocked at level 10, and Chen Bei has reached it. At level 12, the 2nd talent slot is unlocked. At level 15, to evolve your power, you have to choose between 2 powers, mana and fighting spirit. At level 20, you gain another power that you didn't choose last time, and the 2 are combined into 1. This information also has some value. Thank you, you helped me a lot. Chen Bei smiled. When the next game is over and we meet again, can we score twice? The hot girl showed an expression like a greedy cat and came over again. As long as I can come back here alive, anything is easy. Hehe, I'll take it as your promise. Do you have any other information about old players that you want to share with me? Or maybe it's about the game that I don't know about. Let me think of anything else I can tell you. The hot girl thought for a while and then continued. Probably so. First, players can consume game currency to predict their next round of game information in advance. If the game currency is abundant, you can consider spending this money to increase your chances of passing the game. Second, be careful of those weird players, such as an extra eye, an extra arm, etc. Those players may have used the evil spells in the blood sacrifice scrolls in exchange for powerful power. They are the most powerful among the players. Dangerous. Third, sometimes you encounter games with special rules, and you have to decide the outcome according to the rules. If you encounter that kind of game, your level, equipment, etc. will be temporarily useless. That's probably all I thought of. Chen Bei nodded and wrote these things down. They are indeed places worth paying attention to. You have helped me so much and asked me to give you a game coin. I will definitely be reluctant to part with it, but I can give you this. I don't know if you appreciate it or not. Chen Bei took out a wraith skirt he had obtained before and gave it to Hot Girl. This is a skirt that can only be worn by female players. It is of no use to Chen Bei himself, and he doesn't feel bad about giving it away. Although Hot Girl played 1 more round of the game than Chen Bei, her level did not exceed level 10. This level 10 equipment is very useful to her and is enough to satisfy her. Wow! Did you really give it to me? What a good husband. Mama, the hot girl said happily. Chen Bei was non-committal and could call the other party whatever he wanted. Anyway, it was just for fun. After that, the 2 of them visited the entire dormitory building like a shopping mall. The whole building has a total of 18 floors, and each floor has a large number of player dormitories, which are packed to the brim. This dormitory building is numbered 9, which means that there are at least 8 more similar dormitory buildings. There are so many new players of 5 rounds and below. Living in the dormitory, everyone is a neighbor relationship, but once they enter the game, they are competitors. Opening the group chat in the dormitory building, you can see that hundreds of people are chatting in full swing. Some are talking about their gaming experiences, some are openly selling items, or asking for barter to exchange what they have. Make more preparations in the dormitory building, and your chances of survival will be higher when you enter the game in the future. First floor, Shopping Mall Hall. It is very lively here, with people stopping in front of various consumer facilities. Because game coins are too precious, people watch more and buy less. Chen Bei, who carries 14 game coins, is definitely considered wealthy here. So he has to plan carefully how to allocate the funds in his hand. Soon Chen Bei discovered that there were some single rooms in the mall hall. What's going on with these single rooms? Chen Bei asked. When you consume in the lobby, others can see what you get. If you don't want others to see it, you can go into a private room to shop. However, there are only vending machines in the private room, with a single type. Hot Girl explained. I see. Chen Bei immediately walked towards the single room. Chapter 59 I'm eyeing you. Chen Bei plans to buy a lot of things and consume them in a single room, keeping it more confidential. You can choose to wait for me here, or go about your own business, it's your decision. Chen Bei said in front of the single room door. I have nothing to do, I'll just wait for you here. The hot girl responded with a smile. Chen Bei entered the single room alone. The inside is like the kind of automatic teller machine you used to find in banks in the past. The single room is small and can only be entered by one person. The door is automatically locked after entering. Opposite is a colorful vending machine that looks fancy. Chen Bei thought for a while, then raised his leg and kicked it towards the vending machine. Bang! -0. Really? Unable to cause any damage, the vending machine remained unscathed. Warning! Please do not engage in such meaningless attacks, as you will be punished if you persist. It even triggered a warning message for the dormitory building. Chen Bei stopped messing around and began to study the vending machine seriously. The machine automatically recognized his information. Depending on the player's level and authority, there are limits to what can be purchased. For example, in the equipment list, Chen Bei can only buy equipment of level 10 and below. You cannot purchase advanced equipment that exceeds your own level. Not even if you have money. There are many kinds of products inside, and the squandering is becoming more and more charming. There is a category for special products. After opening it, I found the game prompts that the hot girl mentioned. The price is 1 game coin. Just think of it as buying information. It's still necessary to know what the next round of the game will be in advance. Chen Bei took out the bright game coins and stuffed them into the coin slot. Tips for purchasing the game *1, the content will be automatically distributed. Tip: in the next round of the game, you need to get numbers from other players to strive for a more favorable situation for yourself. Numbers: the next round of the game is about numbers. Since it's mentioned that we need to obtain it from other players, there must be a high degree of competition. It will be an involution type game. Buying tips are just the beginning. Next, Chen Bei bought a lot of things. I have never been so generous during Double 11 shopping. Purchase ammunition box *2. Purchase hidden camera equipment *1. Purchase door alarm equipment *1. Purchase a mobile phone *1. Purchase the level 2 skill card War Cry of the Brave. Purchase the level 2 talent card Death Struggle. Purchase a level 1 refrigerator *1. Purchase level 1 flesh and blood generator equipment *1. Purchase level 1 Bagua mirror *1. Chen Bei went on a shopping spree and bought a lot of things he thought were useful. There are 2 delivery methods for purchased items. It is small in size and will pop out directly from the outlet. Larger ones will be moved to the buyer's dormitory. If there is insufficient space in the dormitory, purchases will be restricted. Selecting, buying, paying, it will inevitably take a lot of time. It was already a long time before Chen Bei came out of the single room. Walked out the door and looked up. Chen Bei was stunned for a moment. What was waiting for him outside the door was not a hot girl with a hot body, but a strange man. The other party showed a malicious smile and looked at Chen Bei with a smile. This man's head was wrapped in layers of bandages, like a mummy. Among these bandages, another pair of eyes was vaguely exposed, with a cold light flashing in them. In other words, this person has 4 eyes. Be careful of those weird players, such as an extra eye, an extra arm, etc. Chen Bei thought of what Hot Girl had said before. This guy in front of me. Exactly this kind of person. The most dangerous existence among players. Hee hee. The 4-eyed man chuckled strangely, his body vaguely exuding a black aura. I'm eyeing you because you spent a long time here, which proves that you have a lot of game coins and bought a lot of things. The 4-eyed man said grimly. It's none of your business. Chen Bei's face darkened. Of course it's none of my business, because I'm looking for my own prey. Since it's prey, of course the fatter the better. Your head is crazy. Players are not allowed to attack each other in the dormitory. What the hell are you hunting? I'm referring to the in-game hunt, of course. Then I hope you can be assigned to the same game as me and give you a chance to hunt me. Chen Bei sneered. I don't need your blessing, because I just won a permission in the lottery to lock a player. In the next game, I will be 100% in the same game as the other player. The corners of the four-eyed man's mouth raised, revealing a crazy grin, and his eyes hidden under the bandage became restless. Chen Bei's heart trembled. The lottery of the gas-upon machine can draw out some strange things. The other party didn't seem to be bluffing, but actually obtained the said authority. See you in the next game, my lovely prey, hee hee. The four-eyed man turned to leave. Hey! Chen Bei called out to the other party. The four-eyed man stopped. Add a friend. At least let me know your name. This is also good for you. You can use the friend status to confirm whether I am still alive in the game. Chen Bei sent a friend invitation. The four-eyed man was greatly surprised. He did not expect his prey to be so proactive. So he agreed to the invitation. The two parties are now friends and can see each other's game name, but not the level information. This is different from the new game. In the dormitory, you cannot see other people's levels, and players keep it secret from each other. Game name, Waking of Insects. Game name, 0 degree. Jingja, right? Just listen to me. If we are really assigned together in the next round of the game. Chen Bei stretched out his thumb and made a motion of wiping his neck. Then you and I will be in a mutual hunting relationship. It's not certain who is the prey. Chen Bei declared openly, showing strong murderous intention. He is not a lamb to be slaughtered. There is a price to pay for treating him as prey. The guy opposite named Jingja took a deep look at Chen Bei. It's interesting. Jingja stepped forward and walked away. After the other party left, Chen Bei saw the message from Hot Girl. He stayed in the single room for too long, and the hot girl got bored waiting outside, so she took the first step. Regarding the turmoil just now, Chen Bei was not particularly worried. In the game, players already have a competitive relationship with each other, and killing each other is the norm. One more enemy or one less enemy, what impact does it have? Just pay more attention to the other party when the time comes. In dormitory number 606. Chen Bei locked the door and was alone in the room counting the things he had just purchased. He spent all the game coins until only the last one was left. With such a large investment, the rewards will naturally be huge. This purchase, including some big ones, required Chen Bei to install them manually. These things all come with installation instructions and have auxiliary installation functions. As long as you get started, you will naturally know how to play with them. So Chen Bei got busy. The first thing he installed was the flesh generator. Chapter 60 Flesh Generator. Done. Chen Bei clapped his hands and looked at the results of the work he had just completed. A flesh and blood generator is located in the corner of the room. The main body of the machine is a square pulverizer, and the interior is full of wheel-shaped metal blades, which bite together and are closely connected. The machine also has supporting energy storage components and wires connecting the entire dormitory, which can provide power to the dormitory. Only when starting up for the first time, an external battery is required. Then you can generate your own electricity. Flesh generator. As the name suggests, it uses flesh and blood as its raw material. The corpse is stuffed into the grinder, crushed completely, and then converted into electrical energy. Quite cruel black technology. In the game, the most indispensable thing is corpses. A new game can reduce the number of players by 3/4, plus zombies or monsters. Therefore, as long as you are cruel enough and can accept this heavy-tasting method, you can continuously obtain electrical energy. Electricity is extremely important to the dormitories themselves. Only after the power supply problem is solved can various electrical appliances be installed in the dormitory to improve all aspects of the dormitory. For example, Chen Bei moved the newly purchased refrigerator to the door and connected it to the power supply. This refrigerator can not only keep food cold, but it can also be used for other purposes. Once an enemy breaks through the door and breaks into the dormitory, the refrigerator will automatically open, spray out cold air, and freeze the enemy on the spot. You can even actively open the door to let enemies in and trigger the effect of the refrigerator. So this is a defensive weapon in the dormitory. Chen Bei has studied it. Not only refrigerators, but also various household appliances sold in the game are not just as simple as they appear on the surface, but also come with some additional effects. Some are used for offense. Some are used for defense. Now it can only be powered by batteries. Next time you enter the game and take the body back to the dormitory, you can start the flesh and blood generator. Chen Bei was thinking in his mind. He continued to work, and then began to upgrade the door, raising it to level 5. For doors above level 5, you can add materials and transform them into special doors. Like the Skull Gate. The recipe for this kind of door was obtained by Chen Bei in the single-player game. The corresponding materials are mainly various bones and remains. He has collected a lot of this kind of material in the game. For example, there is the Mountain of Bones. There are mountains of bones, so you can take them as you like. Chen Bei worked hard inside and outside again, transforming the door into a skull door. The originally normal door was covered with a layer of white bones. There are 3 skulls on it, and skeleton arms hanging on the door. Once the door is attacked, these skeleton arms will fight back. Special modifications like this will not affect the level of the door itself, but will only add additional attribute effects. Now, Chen Bei's door finally has the ability to fight back, and it is more than just a door. Chen Bei also installed a camera on the door, plus a set of alarms. To use cameras and alarms, you must use a mobile phone, otherwise the camera is just a decoration. This camera is relatively hidden. It is a small one and is hidden under the door frame. You cannot find it unless you look carefully. The mobile phone Chen Bei bought also came in handy and connected with these devices. From now on, whenever someone approaches Chen Bei's door, the alarm will be triggered. Connected mobile phones will also sound alarms simultaneously. Chen Bei picked up the phone and dialed a real number. Toot, toot, toot. Only busy tone. Sure enough, I can't get through. Chen Bei smiled bitterly. This is a mobile phone in the dormitory survival system. Various functions are limited and can only be used for interactive functions within some games. Just don't expect to call for help. The entire dormitory survival game is like purgatory on Earth, isolated from the world. Equip the skill card as well. Chen Bei now has 3 skill slots, and the extra slot can be equipped with new skills. He equipped the level 2 skill card, War Cry of the Brave. Activating this skill is very simple, just shout. After activation, the player himself will receive a temporary attribute increase, and there is a probability of deterring the enemy and weakening the enemy's attributes. 1 rises and 1 falls. It is a typical auxiliary ability. The whole day passed like this. At night, Chen Bei was lying on the bed, having trouble falling asleep. He suddenly remembered something and sent a private message to a hot girl. 0 degree, you only gave me a lot of formulas before, why didn't you give me how to draw various talismans? Now I can only draw one kind of evil-proofing talisman, which is too monotonous. Hot girl, the talisman is different from the formula, so I can't give it to you. Even though the talisman only has one pattern, it is essentially something that can only be understood but cannot be expressed. This is what other veteran players told me. 0 degree, I see. Hot girl, when it gets up, you will go to the next round of games. I wish you a safe return. 0 degree, I'd like to lend you some good words. Hot girl, as promised, if you come back this time, we will score twice, have 3 positives, make money in 4 seasons, have 5 blessings, and have good luck in 6 or 6 years. 0 degree, the juicer is perfect, right? Chen Bei solved the problem and stopped talking to the hot girl. He lay on the bed, adjusted his mentality, and finally fell asleep, but he didn't sleep too soundly. After all, there is a new game tomorrow. It's hard to sleep soundly. A few hours later, Chen Bei woke up naturally, and as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw streaks of light floating in the room, some red, some white and some blue. He was startled and sat up quickly. What's going on? Chen Bei pulled out the evil killing knife, checked in the dormitory, and found the source of the light. It turned out that the flowers piled aside were glowing. These strands of light floated in the dormitory, went under the bed, and finally poured into the urn. This is an anomaly. It seems that the urn is absorbing the power of the Bana flower. Bianhua has a strong yin energy and can be absorbed by female ghosts, which is very reasonable. Xiao Qian is too weak. Absorbing these other shore flowers should speed up her recovery. Chen Bei guessed it, hesitated for a moment, and simply placed the flowers on the other side next to the urn. I brought you back and let you absorb Bianhua. Isn't it good for you? You have to remember some of my benefits. Chen Bei said towards the urn. I don't know if Xiao Qian inside can hear it. Chen Bei returned to bed. This time, I couldn't sleep no matter what. Until that moment comes. The third round of the game begins. You have entered the game scene of House Number Battle. A total of 120 players participated in this round of the game, and they have been forced to join the player group chat. Get random house number, 188. The outcome of this round of the game is mainly determined by the house number. Players have the opportunity to change their house number. Temporarily unlock the time function and you can check the time in the game system. The game time is divided into 2 parts, which are played alternately. 1 hour is free time. 5 minutes is the settlement time. The game has a total of 5 rounds. After the final settlement, you can clear the game and return to the dormitory building. In each round, the player's dormitory can generate 1 card, and the card will have corresponding instructions. There is more than one way to obtain cards, please actively explore. The first round begins. Settlement condition A for this round, players whose 3 house numbers are added together and the sum is less than 12 will be wiped out and executed. Excluding 12 itself. Settlement condition B, players who add up the 3 house numbers and the sum is higher than 20 will survive and receive additional rewards. Excluding 20 itself. Settlement condition C, 3 players with house numbers 888 will survive and receive high-level rewards. This reward is much higher than settlement condition B. Settlement countdown, 59 minutes and 8 seconds, 59 minutes and 7 seconds. During the settlement period, players must stay in their own dormitories. If they stay outside, they will be severely punished. You are listening to it in Eugene Light Novels.